Good morning, K-Man. Happy Thursday. Well, the week is just about over. My apologies for my late start, by the way. The week is just about over. And so, for everyone, what that means is, well, the weekend will soon be here. But not to worry, we got you covered, honey chill. We got lots going on to discuss. Couple updates for you actually this morning. So we're going to get those going here shortly. I'm very pleased to say that the storm has moved past us. Believe it or not, we're still getting some outer wind from it from the band. So that's kind of crazy when you think about what that means for this storm. Now, when I was having a look at it last night, late into the evening, it was still trying to organize. It's such a bizarre looking storm, to be honest, in that they're projecting it to get up to a category 4 strength. And I thought to myself, how on earth is it going to get there when, it's still not fully organized? Well, this is a lesson for us as it relates to hurricanes in that, they can develop really quickly. That's what they call rapid intensification. So there you go. It's crazy, but let me check in what the latest is with the storm this morning. I thought, it's going to rapidly intensify in 5-6 hours. Well, yeah, that can happen. So I see right now that it's being tracked. It says that, Tampa International Airport, we knew last night that they had closed ahead of the storm. Let me try to get any latest coordinates on it. So yeah, they said it's intensifying into a dangerous category 4 storm as they projected before landfall in Florida. And this is according to the National Hurricane Center. My apologies. Meteorologists said that the storm's massive size and intensity will lead to devastating impacts for Florida and Georgia, with forecast storm surges up to 20 feet. So this is definitely no, my apologies, no system to mess around with, if you will. So, oh gosh, I do have to grab me some water. So I'm going to take a little break to be able to do that after I send out the links here on the channel. Kind of a late morning. What can I tell you? Had to get up and try to get things moving this morning. Listen, mornings can be a bit rough. I feel for those of you who've got more than one kid to get out the door, more than one dog to walk before you do all of that stuff, because I'm just like, honey, chill. As I say, one and done. Now I know why. It takes a totally different level of organizing your life. All right, let me grab some water. Just give me 1 second. I'll play another song for you. Fan favorite.
I hear the people talking. What are they talking about? This world's gone crazy, and I'm trying to find a way out. Nobody knows where we're going, or if we're going at all. Nobody cares if we stand, if we have nowhere to fall. It's a singing symphony, playing as the ship goes down. It's a porcelain epiphany, breaking if it hits the ground. I gotta find a way out.
I think that most of us have interest in Florida, so I'm really hoping that everyone is continuing to keep an eye on this situation. I think the more north it goes, probably the better for Caymanians because I think most of us are kind of like Tampa and below, but I suppose, Caymanians all over the globe these days, including maybe even the Panhandle, Tallahassee area as well. So, what a ting. My goodness. Category 4 hurricane is on track. So, I'm just watching some of the news here. Let me just bring in a bit of a news feed just now, see if we can watch a little bit of this before we turn to some other local matters. So, let's just get the latest update if we can. Give me one quick second here. Mm-hmm. Okay.
They might feel unsafe in their dorm or their off campus housing, they are going to open a shelter this morning for students to ride out the storm there.
Talk a little bit about the preparations that we've seen, because I know you've been there and the storm is approaching. That is the area where it is expected to make landfall. So it's a little different than the preparations you'd see maybe over in Tampa or St. Petersburg, knowing that the storm is going to make that landfall right there.
Mhm. I think she was
Yeah,
confused
so
by
this is going to be very significant for Tallahassee specifically. This is going to be the most powerful storm to directly hit or nearly hit the city of Tallahassee. They have never had a category 3 or above hurricane hit here. So we are seeing people taking those preparations, getting those preparations done. As I mentioned, we saw a lot of people filling sandbags yesterday. City officials wanted people to have all of their preparations complete before they went to sleep last night. So we might see some people scrambling this morning to get some final preparations done, especially now since it's officially a category 2 storm in the Gulf. It's expected to make landfall as a category 4. It could still be a category 5. So those are very significant impacts, very significant wind speeds as well. So people really need to take this storm seriously.
Definitely. Rebecca Castor there with Fox News, reporting from Tallahassee, Florida. Rebecca, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us, and please stay safe out there.
Yes, Rebecca's like, I can barely hear you. The storm's starting to blow in. All
Time
right.
now 8:54 over on the East Coast and 5:54 on the West Coast. We've been checking in with our different Fox 35 Orlando, Fox 13 Tampa teams as they provide more information about the storm itself. Do want to check in with Fox 13 Tampa as it looks like they are in the forecast, kind of breaking down where the storm does head next. Let's pop up the audio here and listen in.
Into the storm surge as well. And the wave heights forecast are somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40 to 45 feet of wave height. And you're like, wow. So you take that, the forward momentum of the storm, and you just kind of put it all together. And that's why the storm surge forecasts are so high. Here's the Big Bend. Okay, so let's say Appalachia Bay is right about here, 15 to 20 foot storm surge. That would be catastrophic. As you go south and east, you're getting down more closer towards Cedar Key, 10 to 15 foot storm surge. Potentially that for Crystal River down to Homosassa as well. Then you get down to, say, Pine Island, Bayport, Hernando Beach, looking at an 8 to 12 foot storm surge. Same thing for Hudson. Once you get into the Tampa Bay area, it's a 5 to 8 foot storm surge. And then south of that, we're getting down to, say, around the Sarasota area south, and it's about 4 to 7 feet for the storm surge. So you can see there's a lot of weather to get through. Let's go through it, looking ahead with our futurecast, our Fox model. Watch as we just get these little periodic bands of rain from time to time until the middle of the afternoon. Then it becomes pretty solid for a while. And I think from 3 o'clock on into the nighttime hours is when we're going to get the core of the storm. You know, the strongest winds, the heaviest rains, the storm surge starts to come up as well. So So that's what I'm anticipating later today. And as the sun is going down, still some pretty strong winds. After the storm makes landfall, we're still going to have some bands of rain to roll through on the backside, but we're also going to have a very strong southwest wind, which is going to keep pushing that water up in as well. So anytime from mid-afternoon till, again, tonight, the strongest of it, the storms, the strongest of the impacts coming in. We do have a tornado watch out for everybody until about 8 o'clock. It's 8:56. We get a lot more, folks. We're going to be with you all day long. We'll come back in just a couple of minutes. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
All right, that was our Fox 13 Tampa team. We've been checking in with them, as I mentioned, with Fox 35 and Fox Weather as well. We're going to continue to cover the latest here on Helene, as the storm is now a Category 2, expected, though, to continue to strengthen there in the Gulf, to pick up that intensity before likely making landfall later on today over in the Tallahassee area as a Category 4 major hurricane. I know that initial reports said it would likely be a Category 3, but just based on the speed at which the storm is moving, as well as the temperatures there in the Gulf, it looks like it could reach that Category 4 status. So folks in that area are preparing for that to happen. Do want to pop up this live image once again that we do have in Tallahassee, where you can already see that the weather has really started to change. We can see the cloud cover there and not really much in the way of wind just yet, but as the storm does inch closer and closer, that is likely to change. Do want to pop up this image that we have as well, as coming up in a matter of minutes, we do expect to hear from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He has been providing these updates normally around 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. However, according to his office, they do expect today's briefing to be a bit closer to 9 a.m. Eastern time. So we'll keep an eye on the camera. And the second that we see Ron DeSantis enter in, we will bring you that news conference right.
Okay, folks. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Again, more directly going towards Tallahassee. But of course, as you can see, amazingly, storm surge going quite far down the coast of Florida. So that's pretty wild given the size of the storm. I guess that's to be expected. So, wow. Tampa folks, please be careful because, 5 to 8 feet is still nothing to mess around with. So, good morning to everyone. Let me just mute this tab here. Something is pinging me with messages. Yes, good morning to everyone. Morning, Sean. Strong Wilt is here. So that is wow. Yeah, wow. Okay. Well, we'll continue to watch it. And when you go outside here in Cayman, we're still kind of windy out there. I'm just like, wow, what is up with the storm? The rain, I saw the sun trying to peep out, but it's not coming out. But we still see that the wind is kicking up around here still a little bit. So pretty crazy. People are starting to prepare. There's footage here of them, putting up emergency, boarding up. And Tallahassee is a big college area. As you guys know, it is the capital of Florida as well. And so there's oftentimes a lot going on there. And so, yeah, we see preparations being made. Look at this historical picture of what hurricanes can do.
Not an ideal location to build a facility like this.
But the army of installers doesn't second guess the decision of 100 years ago. They drilled wells in case city water fails with backup generators, trucking in food for 5 days and preparing for the worst.
We expect that there's going to be 12 feet of water. We will move all of the patients and staff up to the upper floors. It's actually safer to keep them here than to transport.
At this hospital on the bay, they build a fortress against the storm. Lloyd Sowers, Fox 13 News.
Wow. That's Tampa General
Again,
Hospital.
that was Boyd over at our Fox 13 Tampa team as he does go over the latest information. Now, we do see Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has walked up to the podium. So let's pop up the audio
See what
here
he's
and
saying
listen
here
in.
this morning.
As you know, as of 8 a.m., Hurricane Helene is now a Category 2 hurricane. It is located 365 miles south of Apalachicola. It is expected to speed up throughout the day, and it's expected to make landfall in northern Florida sometime this evening. Maximum sustained winds are currently about 100 miles per hour. It is possible that this storm could make landfall as a major hurricane, as a Category 3, or even potentially a Category 4. It is moving fast. More rainfall is, of course, expected, and it could lead to significant storm surge in our coastal areas. And so we are prepared for that, of course, and we'll see what happens in terms of the intensification. I think that these things can rapidly intensify. Sometimes they become major. Sometimes there's changes. So we're just going to continue to do our thing and assume that this is going to be a major hurricane when it makes landfall. This is a very large storm. So you're going to see tropical weather that's going to extend hundreds of miles away from the center of the storm. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a hurricane Category 3 winds, say on the east coast of Florida, but you are going to have tropical conditions, and it's going to be nasty throughout the latter part of the day here in the state of Florida. We are, of course, looking at the track. If you look at the 8 a.m. advisory, and I think this has been happening probably for the last 8 hours. The models are nudging the center of the storm a little bit east. And that's significant when you're talking about Tallahassee, because I think yesterday we were looking at an eye wall that was probably just on the western part of the city. When these storms hit, the northeast part of the storm is usually the most damaging. And so to the extent it is tracking east and mirroring more of an Idalia track, rather than a direct hit on Tallahassee, that is going to impact the extent of the damage. This area has not had a major hurricane hit in quite some time, and certainly nobody in recent memory has seen a storm of this magnitude that has hit. So we'll watch that. There's no guarantee that it's going to continue on that trend, but we have seen that slight trend, and that could potentially be very impactful if you're talking another 30 or 40 miles to the east versus maintaining course or even toggling a little bit west. There will be debris either way. Obviously, if it hits direct into Tallahassee with the trees that we have here, and it's nice, but it will cause a lot of damage. Kevin and his team have been working with local governments throughout the state, but particularly throughout this region, about making sure they have their debris contracts ready to go. There's going to be a need to get debris out of the roadways. Kevin and his team are going to be helping. Jared and his team are going to be helping. But then also with power restoration, you want to be able to get the power back on. The linemen are going to have to access these power lines, and that could be more challenging in an area like Tallahassee than it would be in areas that may not be as wooded.
All right, folks. So again, Florida, that's the governor there, DeSantis, starting to make some serious preparations ahead of this storm. So telling everyone to take precautions. Someone just said that seeing as today's hurricane was our weather yesterday, we should take a pause and count our blessings. And absolutely correct. Another person wondering that there are some Caymanian students that attend the University of Florida. I don't really know how many, to be honest. They closed the dorms there, and people have been asked to find shelter. So are we aware of any Caymanians that are in the UF area? You know what is so interesting? Something that we should readily have available to us, which, I mean, I don't personally know, and I'm not sure if any government official is kind of monitoring this situation, but because all of Florida is in basically the hurricane belt, I would have thought that we have figures readily available in the event that we ourselves have to deploy any assistance to, galvanize people in Tampa, in Sarasota, anywhere in Florida. I know Miss Jan sent out messages last night to the Caymanians in Florida group that was set up, I think a year or so ago by Kevin Watler, when we had another storm that was heading towards, that has 98, almost 100 members, but that was set up when there's another storm heading towards Florida. And so that's a good resource. And Kevin is constantly sending all the latest hurricane updates. But I kind of wonder from the government perspective, what is being done? I'm curious to know if our government here has, readily available numbers. Like, can I say to education this morning, tell me how many kids we have going to the University of Florida? How many kids do we have at the University of Tampa? How many kids, Caymanian students who are at USF? And we should be able to just pull those numbers up and sort of even have contact information for students. I don't know who's keeping track of that. I don't know if the scholarship secretariat does any of that stuff, but it's times like this now that we got to start forward thinking and ensuring that we have a plan of action should, we need to galvanize our students in any way, reaching out to them, making sure that they have all of the required shelter that they need. Big shout out to Ms. Jan Lawrence, who's always helping people in the Florida, especially in the Tampa area. But I would hope the government could provide some additional assistance there. So, oh, where is that car? So, we're drying out a little bit. You saw the headline for the show this morning, said I can see clearly now. Well, not quite as clear as I'd like to be able to see, that the rain is gone. But I think in going into the weekend, we will certainly start to dry out here and start to hopefully see some sun by Saturday or Sunday. Some sunshine back in our lives. Shaka Zulu says, Sandy, all the parents should call in. I'm sure they're probably scrambling, trying to make sure that their kiddos are okay. There's safety in numbers. So I think if any of you can bunk together, just even psychologically, it's better to have people to ride out a storm with, by all means, try to make the necessary contacts. And of course, anyone who wants to join the Caymanians in Florida group, please do so. So this parent says, morning, I was speaking to my son last night, and I can tell you that they're on the situation with their kids overseas. So that's great to hear. Thank you very, very much for confirming that and letting us know. Because, I obviously don't have a university student, so good to know. Thank you very, very much. All right. So students and all other Caymanians living in that area, please be careful. You guys know that I grew up in the Tampa area. I can't remember growing up in the 80s and 90s really ever hearing of a hurricane coming into Tampa, much less Tallahassee. So it is a little bit unusual. But hopefully people know what they need to do in terms of preparations, and they're taking it seriously. Evacuations have already started. So don't play around with these things. Currently, Category 2 storm could be a Category 4, or did you hear what he said? Even possibly a 5, 100 miles per hour. And I guess they'll have like a 10 o'clock update. Aliano says, please, Miss Sandy, this is a good idea, and our government don't do good ideas. The tracking of overseas Caymanian is not in their interest. Well, hopefully, as this parent has said, sounds like her son has been reached, and hopefully they're able to reach all students. And students, if no one has reached out to you, do your part. You're an adult now, honey child. So we're not looking to baby you through life. Put on your little socks there and make sure that you reach out if necessary, and contact your family members, let them know what your plans are, where you're going, and so on. And of course, that whole coast of Florida looks like it could potentially get some impact from the storm. Abby says, Florida weather is so bipolar. Listen, we live in a very bipolar world these days in terms of the weather. I mean, Cayman Stone started having sleet and snow and everything else. It's crazy. Miss Sue says weather changed all over the world. It sure has. That's what I'm saying. Leroy says not like NYC. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, beautiful folks. Everybody's doing good. Someone's asking, does anyone know if CNB Elgin Avenue will be open today? So can someone confirm for me if CNB, the main branch, is open? I don't know why they were closed yesterday. Is it because that there was flooding in that area? Quite a number of roads yesterday, in fact, were closed, and I don't see, let me just double check before I say that. Schools have obviously reopened, but I don't see any advisories this morning. My apologies. I don't see any advisories this morning about the roads being reopened. So they sent messages yesterday. about, the roads that were. And so I have to wonder, you know, where are those reopened, or what's the latest update? I saw a message here yesterday that government sent out saying that the National Weather Service said beware of misinformation. And they said, as inclement weather experience from the outer bands of the hurricane, it's crucial to stay informed with accurate updates on weather conditions and public safety measures. The government is aware that incorrect information is being circulated, which can cause unnecessary panic and confusion. Be aware of images and videos that are AI generated. So, funny enough, of course, you guys will know that they were talking about the video, which we got earlier in the day as we were still here on air. Someone sent a video and I was playing it to you guys and looking at it going, why is that street in the back completely dry? Like, this looks a little bit weird. So I don't know what idle person decided to put that together. But, these are types of things that don't help anyone in the community. So if you have talents for AI, please utilize your talents for something more positive, as opposed to trying to scare people with these AI generated images. The good news is all of you astute viewers were on it and said, nope, Sandy, that is not a legit video. That's definitely AI generated. Like I said, it was looking kind of weird to me. So I was glad to be able to post that up immediately to inform our viewers and followers on the page that, yeah, this is something that y'all cannot panic about. Because, I got it the first time. I played it and then I started to get it. People like, oh my gosh, look at this, look at this. I'm like, okay, it's not real. So it's important. It's just as important, or sometimes even more important, to try to correct the fake information that's out there. Because, the legit news has traction, but boy, the stuff that is fake and made up really grows legs very, very quickly. So I'm happy to say that we were able to post that up almost immediately after getting it, to say, hey guys, this is fake, AI generated, don't be fooled by it. I am only now seeing their notice, which was sent out after 1:00. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest, that it took them that long to even put that up, because we posted it 21 hours ago. What time would that have been? That was, I don't know if I can get an exact time, but it was, we still were going on the show. I think we went till about 11:30 or so. So it looks like it took them a couple hours to get that up there, but better late than never, I guess. All right. So yes, folks, let's not engage in this. I mean, it's not funny. You know what I mean? The first look of it, it was kind of like, oh my God, this looks like Hurricane Ivan. I didn't think we had things that bad. So puts people in a bit of a panicky mode when they start to see these things. And trust me, there's more than enough footage out there of real things that are happening, that you don't have to put that type of stuff out there. We have enough flooding happening yesterday. Some of you sent me the video footage in relation to that. So we don't have to make anything up. Trust and believe, not necessary. All right, good. So glad the storm is moving away from us. Of course, concerned about the good folks there in Florida. So yesterday around here, we were feeling hurricane-ish, stormish, peckish, So my husband said he wanted some beef soup, because he said beef soup is the soup of choice for Jamaicans on a rainy day. And I said, I don't know about that. I'm no expert on these things, but from my perspective, it's not beef soup. It is chicken soup. And he's like, nope, it's beef soup. Ask any Jamaican and they'll tell you. So Delcy says, yes, CNB main branch, Elgin Avenue is open. Thank you to Delcy and Miss Cynthia. Buenos dias to Can Barantes. So yes, he said it's chicken soup, it's beef soup. And I said, Strong Will to ask about the soup. And I said, nope, it's chicken soup. So honey chow, we had a soup throwdown yesterday. I said, well, I want chicken soup and you want beef soup. So Miss Stacy, can we get both chicken and beef soup? She said, all right, honey child. I said, don't make too much chicken soup because probably only me going to be eating it. If Marlene claims that only Jamaicans know they only eat beef soup. So I said, all right, bring on the beef soup, bring on the chicken soup. Make me a small batch of the chicken soup. So as it turned out, we invited a few friends over. I said, come on over, have some soup. And as they came in, the question of the night was, as a Jamaican, which do you eat on a stormy night? Chicken soup or beef soup? Honey child, everybody was saying chicken soup. So I looked at Marlon and I said, hold on a second now. What kind of Jamaican you supposed to be? You're supposed to know if it's chicken soup or beef soup. He said, no, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to call my mama. All right. So we called Mama Hill all the way in good old Jamrock. And we say, all right, what is it? Chicken soup or beef soup? She says chicken soup. I say, look at that. Everybody was saying chicken soup, except for Marlon. He was starting to feel lonely. And then finally, Kevin, who is a soup connoisseur, Kevin loves him some soup. We said, hey, Kevin, we got soup tonight. You coming over for a bowl of soup? He said, oh, yeah, what you got? And I said, well, you tell us, what is the soup of choice in rainy weather in Jamaica? And he said, it is beef soup. I said, look, you finally got somebody to agree with you, Marlon. Everybody else was saying it's chicken soup. Stefan says it's beef soup. Aliana says, I like how my bowl of soup is still MIA. And, you know, she made more beef soup than chicken soup because everybody's like, well, Marlon was like, yeah, it's beef soup. And Stacy said, yeah, it's beef soup too. And we still got lots of beef soup left. The chicken soup, everybody wanted the chicken soup. You know, everybody's like, So he called some of the Jamaican brethren all over the globe. And they were like, well, I'm going to still go with chicken soup. You know, beef soup is more of like a Sunday vibe. You know, when you can get your beef sorted out and whatever. So I don't know. Diana says it's chicken soup. They literally have cock noodle packets. Let's take a vote here. Damien says beef soup on a stormy night and Saturday. Chicken soup for Coles. So Damien, I must tell you that that's exactly what Marlon was saying. He's like, nobody does, you know, beef soup ordinarily. So it was kind of one of those things where I was like, well, all I know is, you know, your people, the ones who keep saying chicken soup. But that's exactly what he said. He's like, no, it's beef soup. And then, you know, chicken soup if you're like sick or something like that. So nobody could, in the end, honestly, no one could decide what it was. Well, not that nobody could decide. People had their own version of it. So let's do a vote this morning. Chicken or beef soup. I'm going to put up a little fun. Hold on one second here. I'm going to put up a fun little poll here. We'll do a poll in the WhatsApp channel. So the question again is for rainy day weather. You know, when you just want some good soup. What is the preference? And this is really a Jamaican question for Jamaicans. What is the soup preference? Let me put it that way. Okay. All right. And is it chicken soup or beef soup? Let's see what the polls are going to say here. I'm curious to see. Chicken soup or beef soup. And I'm only going to let you vote one time. You can't vote. For rainy day weather, what is Jamaican soup preference? Yeah, let's reword that sentence. All right. Get to voting in the WhatsApp channel. Let me see what the vote results will say. All right, let me see. Go vote, guys. So Emma, good morning to you. Irvelin says beef soup. It was on a Saturday, chicken soup on a Wednesday. So you're only going to have beef soup if the stormy weather happens on a weekend? Oh boy, getting complicated now. Siobhan says chicken soup. Stefan says I was literally looking for it yesterday too. So yeah, so we had look at the soup. Look at the pot.
When you can't decide on which soup to get, you do 2 pots. Big shout out. Miss Stacy did beef and
See?
chicken.
Look at how small my little pot of chicken soup is.
Beef and chicken. Lots of dumpling in both.
Of course.
Yum.
You gotta have the dumpling. You gotta have the dumpling. So, according to Miss Stacy, she's never seen anybody who has dumpling and everything like me. Well, dumplings just seem to make everything better. So yes, I want dumplings and curry chicken. I want my spinners and curry chicken. I want them in oxtail and definitely in soup. You got to have spinners and the regular, what do you call it, little round dumplings. Yeah. And what else do we put dumplings in? Everything. Dumplings like go with, stewed chicken. Dumplings go great with stewed chicken. Do your little spinners? Oh, yeah. So, she's like, dumplings again. I said, the more dumplings, the better. Ms. Jean says, good morning. It's easy being Jewish, New Yorker like me. The answer is chicken soup for everything. And boy, that chicken soup was good, Jean. I'm telling you, delicious. And she put corn in the chicken soup. So the people who came over and had the beef soup, they're like, where is the corn? I said, well, you don't get corn in the beef soup. That's for the chicken soup people. So it was good. Lavana says both chicken and beef. So I will have, I had a bowl of chicken soup last night. And then I think today I'll have some beef soup, but I'm going to move the corn over to the beef soup. Oh my goodness. Sean Wilt says, my God, you guys were killing poor Miss Stacy. I prefer beef soup. Miss Stacy can whip up a good little meal in no time. Let me tell you. All right. Evelyn is saying chicken. Carla is saying my favorite is beef. So go and vote, folks. So far, chicken soup 10-1. Everybody's saying chicken soup. So I don't know. Damien says, so in Cayman, is it stew turtle or turtle stew? Kunk stew or stew kunk? I say how it's cooked first, like curry, boil, fried, bake, etc. So let me read this again. Is it stew turtle or turtle stew? No, we don't say turtle stew. We say stew turtle. Right? Yeah. Kunk stew or stew kunk. And then we say stew kunk. Right? Stew turtle. Do we even say stew turtle, really? Just turtle. I mean, there's only one way to cook turtle, right? I guess stew turtle. But how else do we cook turtle? I mean, we're not into cooking turtle many other ways that I can think of. That's a good question, though. About do you put the method of cooking? So it's like curry chicken. And people, it's so funny you asked that question, Damien, because I was actually watching, and I think it depends on where you're from. I was watching a YouTuber that I follow. She's actually of East Indian descent, and she's married to an African-American guy, but he's got some Guyanese family connections. So whenever she cooks something, like say curry chicken, she says chicken curry. And we say curry chicken. So just the other day, a couple of days ago, I was watching a video by them, and they were talking about the exact same thing. Like, how do you say it? For her, it's chicken curry. And for him, it's curry chicken. Just depends on where you're at. Miss Jennifer says it's chicken on Saturday. El Rey says, what is this? Chief or beefkin soup? What the heck is that? What's chief soup? Duke, morning to you. Come to play ball with you soon. Me and Johan. Well, you're talking about pickleball. Can I tell you that unfortunately Johan did something to his shoulder? He claims that Pilar was beating him up. I don't think she would have gone for the shoulder, to be honest. I'm just saying. So, but his shoulder's in a sling, so I don't know how long he's going to be out of commission. But I'm ready. So as soon as the court dries off, because you can't play in a wet court, child, you'll slip and break something. But as soon as that's dry, I'm putting up some new lights, some additional lights so we can play at night in the evening hours. I'm ready for you. The neck is feeling, I would say about 90% better. There's still that little 10% crook in the neck, but we're getting there. Pigtail, stew peas. El Rey says it's stew conch and stew turtle. Carrot goes in beef soup and chocho. Well, we had carrots in both. We had dumplings in both. We had obviously beef in one, chicken in the other one. Aliano says chicken soup is too common. Beef soup is nice with good chunks of beef. Irvelin says it's turtle stew. Not if you're a Caymanian, Irvelin. So there's also turtle steak or soup. You see, Caymanians not really into no turtle steak. I've never heard of Caymanian talking about they're gonna make some turtle steak or even soup for that matter. I guess people might occasionally do it, but Lavana, chef extraordinaire here, she says there's corn turtle, turtle steaks, turtle soup, etc. But do we really eat any of those things? I don't think so. Oh, he's combining both soups together. Oh my gosh. Well, they were good. I might even have soup for breakfast today. I mean, after all, you can't go look at it steaming in the pot. You can't go wrong. Miss Stacy likes to use a lot of thyme, bay leaves. What are the little black things that you put in for seasoning again? She loves those. You know what is so funny is I don't really cook with those. Pimento. I don't really cook with pimento, to be honest, when I cook. But she loves her pimento, child. She throws that into every single dish. So yeah, look at the pieces of corn. She had some potato in there. Soups are just amazing on a rainy day. So both were delicious. All right. Damien said, nope, that's in restaurants. It's turtle steak and turtle burgers. Abby says, I've always wanted to try a turtle patty. All right, I'm not going to knock it because you never know. I tell you what, the first time I had one of those Patty Maxes at Tortuga, I was blown away. I'm like, oh, this is like a patty sandwich because you get lettuce, tomato, and then you get beef or chicken, and they put it in there, stuff it in there, and you eat it. It's like, So I was obsessed with them. I know the little lady at the patty shop, if she's listening this morning, she's like, oh, we haven't seen Sandy in a while. I go through phases with what I'm obsessed with in terms of food. So I was obsessed for a minute, like going there twice a week, eating these Patty Maxes. Not the best thing for the diet. And you know, once you get a patty, you got to get a Pepsi with it. It's a thing. I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just like a thing. Patty and Pepsi just go together like bread and butter, Charlie Chair. So I did make some brownies as well. Did a couple batches. And the friends that came over, they're like, Sandy, your brownie is off the chain, girl. And I said, oh, have you not had these before? So I bagged some up. Now, where's Jim? Jim is supposed to come and get some. Cousin Tony said that she wanted some too. Y'all better come, honey child, because they were especially good. And these are the walnut brownies now. So, you know, we going all out. Look, there you go. 2 batches. And then we did a little cake as well. So Gigi wanted red velvet. So we just did a box red velvet cake. And then we did a lemon cake. And we put them together. And then we had like a double-decker cake. Trust me when I tell you, I will have to give that away today as well so that I don't end up eating the whole cake. All right. My daddy did the best corned beef soup. Corned beef soup. My sister, Lucia Howell, learned it from him, and hers is awesome, too. Magdalene says it'll taste better 1 day old. El Rey says a patty and what is it called? Jupina? That's the, is that the one that, I know what it is. It's the pineapple flavored one. That's Jupina, right? You know, I probably can count the number of times I've had a Jupina. Like on one hand. Yeah, that's the one with the little pineapple on it. I've had it, so I do know what it tastes like, but it's not something that I think about drinking ever. It's kind of weird, but I get it. I get how certain things go together in your brain. I had one piece of patty. I mean, one piece of the brownie and a piece of the velvet cake. Mhm. Evelyn said, I used to love turtle until I saw the uncooked meat. That ish made me yuck. Oh, yeah, there's certain things that you just shouldn't see, Evelyn, if you're easily kind of irked out. And not just turtle, right? Because I've seen people cook turtle. I've never cooked turtle in my life, and I don't have a desire to cook turtle. I'm one of those people who only eats turtle occasionally, and I only want the lean meat. Like I don't want all the manavelin and the little parts that I can't really identify. I'm like, no, y'all keep those. Now I understand the fact that it has to be, everything has to be thrown into the pot to give it the flavoring, right? So I get that. And I don't mind it being in the pot. It's just that I don't want to eat it. So if you know me and you give me, it has to be rice and beans for me. I know y'all like turtle white rice, but I prefer rice and beans. And just give me the lean meat and just a little tips of gravy, and I am good to go. Mhm. You know, little starch on the side, mac and cheese. Oh yeah, a little piece of bread kind, breadfruit preferably. I'm not into cassava, but that reminds me, Irvin, of the time that my cousin and I went to look about some beef for Christmas. And she's like, oh, yeah, we're going to go straight to the butcher. Now, I used to go to another butcher. Big shout out to Miss Laura McLaughlin. Miss Laura McLaughlin taught me how to do my Cayman style beef. Because, you know, when I came back, I had to quick time catch up on all the Caymanian dishes because I was away during those formative years. So I didn't learn how to cook any Cayman dishes, yeah. So when I came back, I'm like, okay, I got to be able to cook staple food. I got to be able to cook my, you know, at least Cayman beef for Christmas. So she told me one Christmas, come on over, Sandy. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's all about the seasoning, girl, and pick the right pieces of meat. So the first time I did it, she ordered the meat for me and, you know, kind of walked me through how to prepare it, how to wash your meat, how to do this, how to do that. I'm like, all right, I got it. Took my little notes, honey child, wrote everything down. And I said, okay, since then I've been killing the beef. People love my beef. But normally I would call a guy and be like, okay, just have my beef ready. You know, these are the parts I need. You know, I need a little piece of fat because you don't put any oil in your beef. You're using the fat from the beef itself, right, to produce oil. I said, all right. And I bake mine in the oven. I know some of y'all do it stovetop. Miss Laura showed me how to do it in the oven, and that's how I do it. I'm not varying the recipe in any way. So I cook it 12 plus hours, just turn it on at night, leave it. When you wake up on Christmas morning, the whole house smells like a whole pot of beef. And it's just the most amazing smell in the world. You know what's really good is beef with cassava. This is the only time I really like cassava is cassava dumplings with some beef on the top. Woo! That is sell off. Okay. So one Christmas, my cousin and I think we were running kind of late with the beef order. And you know, Caymanians, if you don't get your beef order in early, you salt. Trust me. So she's like, oh yeah, there's a guy down, you know, such and such a road. You know, he's got fresh meat. And I was like, okay, honey, chilling. Let me tell you something. This was as fresh as you could get. He was actually slaughtering the cow, like, you know, and it was too much, Evelyn. So I feel you. When I saw that, I was like, woo. I'm like, okay. There's certain things you don't need to see. I don't need to see the beef in this form. Next time, call me when you've already like cleaned it, cut it, whatever. Call me when it's bagged up. I don't really want to see this part of it. It was pretty interesting. First time I saw it, and hopefully last time. Totally do not need to see it again. All right, K9F8 says those days of braving the turtle fin and turtle liver and stew. Okay. Sophia, good morning to you. All right, enough about food. Y'all are making me hungry. I'll probably end up having a bowl of soup here this morning. Corned beef soup. I don't think I've ever had corned beef soup, but sounds like it's a thing. This other person says escovitch turtle steak is awesome. Only way that I eat turtle. Escovitch turtle steak. Really? Do you know how to make it? I'd like to try it. This person says, I don't know about chicken or beef soup, but whatever it's raining and we have cold weather, I crave ice cream. Ice cream. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's a little bit funny. It was working. Oh, uh-oh. Anybody else having issue with the audio and the radio today? Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay, CNB is open, folks. All branches sound like they're back to normal. All right, good. Yeah, so Jim, link me up. All right, so yesterday we were saying Soka does not eat meat, so she's sitting here going, "Oh my God, you guys are talking about turtle and chicken and beef soup, and all of it sounds horrible." Turtle, Soka, have you always been a vegetarian? As long as you can remember, when did you go down that road? Heliana says, "All right, enough with the food. I'm hungry now, and it's killing my workout session." For you. Actually, I think I'm gonna have some porridge. Nope, somebody says no, radio audio is good. Huh. Okay. All right, let's move on. So, listen, I wanted to talk a little bit about, we got a caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Morning, darling. How are you?
You're making me hungry talking about all that beef and chicken. I'm not a turtle person, so I there's nothing to write home about as far as I'm concerned. But it's to each his own.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope the beef that we're getting now not coming from George Smith with all his cows.
Right?
And then I think I counted about 22 cows on the west side of Ruby's gas station on Bartmanu Road. I'm going to send you a video of them. There's the place when they were trying to walk, they were all rushing to get to a little ledge on the west side of where they built up the gas station foundation. And there was little cows in there that the water was up to their necks. And they're walking like they're walking on hot coals because the mud and stuff, they got to pull their hook out of the water, out of the bottom.
Oh my God.
And it was so disgusting. I asked one of the people at the gas station this morning if they saw the people. It says he comes there quite regular, but those cows has not been fed since Monday. I see when I look, there was the troughs where they put the food in. They're out floating in about a half of the, and I almost call it grass peas. You know, grass peas is to me it's a torture timber. I mean, it's disgusting. People got to be prosecuted for allowing. The authorities are supposed to be looking into this. This is a detriment and a health hazard that is going to be brought on by him or her, whoever owns these cows. They're drinking the water. There's nothing to eat. It's disgusting. You know, it might be graphic. I might be making it graphic, but that's only how you can get the results.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Dexter. I appreciate that.
What I'll do, I'll send you some videos and stuff.
Okay.
I felt so bad for those little. It was one of the little calves. They was trying to stick their head underneath on the roadside, but a new road, trying to get the little grass that was on the side of the road. It's so heartless, man. Where is mankind?
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it. Send information. And
Okay,
let's see what we
good.
can do. Thank you. Yeah, yesterday we actually had a couple dogs that were out in the weather, and we reported it to the Department of Agriculture, and the animal welfare officers did go and speak with those individuals and actually got them to, take the dogs inside somewhere, whether it was inside a garage or whatever. Please, folks, if having a dog is optional. Nobody forces you to have a dog. You don't have to have a dog, or any kind of a pet for that matter. But if you decide to do so, can I please beg you to have a little bit more consideration for their lives? And for the first time, I must say that the Department of Agriculture actually issued a notice. I know that we had it up on our website, where they issued a notice about the livestock in particular, just reminding people to please secure your livestock, take them to higher ground. And, I hope that did not fall on completely deaf ears. So this was sent just a couple days ago. I remember us putting something up in relation to this. I was just trying to find the article actually. But if you follow the channel, just scroll up and you would have seen that we would have shared it there, I think on Monday. So it was good to see the department being a bit more proactive, because I don't recall them having done this in the past. And it was good to see. And I really hope that people, like I said, heeded the warning and remembered that, yes, those of us who are meat eaters, yes, I'm going to eat the cow, I'm going to eat the chicken, but that does not mean that they should be treated inhumanely, or just discarded in the way that some people wish to do. So please, again, take some precautions in terms of protecting them a little bit. The chickens came up last week, over the weekend, as a point of discussion. And I do recall that being something that was a hot topic last week. There was also a poor dog, I don't know what his current condition is, that was found by someone, and the dog's ribs were visible. The dog was in such poor condition, looks like completely malnourished. Again, folks, you don't have to be a dog owner. Nobody's forcing you to love a pet. But if you're not going to treat them with some minimum standards of respect, by all means, please do not get them. I mean, this poor dog had sores on it. We shared this. It came from the women's group. Somebody said they were urgently looking for someone who would take the dog. Initially, the Humane Society was saying that they couldn't take the dog, but they were reluctantly holding on to it, is what the message initially said. And it'll be sent to DOE, where he'll be euthanized. So incredibly sad, And then I think there was a further update where he was able to find a foster home. But folks, when you have a dog, and I don't know how many of you actually saw these photos, they are disturbing. So let me trigger warn you in advance. But when you have animals that people are abusing, because to me this is animal abuse, there's no other way really to explain it. I mean, look at this poor dog. I don't even know what that wound is on his leg. I mean, look, his ribs are showing. Like, you can literally count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, you can count the ribs there. You can see his spine showing. Listen, we gotta be better than this. Like, who does this? Who has a dog and treats a dog like this? My God. I mean, look at all the sores on him. His paws has multiple sores. There's that one in the back. Do we know if this poor dog is still alive? Like, what has happened to him? I don't even know. But this is disturbing. I mean, come on, folks. This can't be who we are as a community, right? This is, oh my God. It just makes me upset. It physically makes me upset when I see things like this happening. So I do appreciate Mr. Dexter being concerned about the livestock as well. And I think that anytime we see these things, we have an obligation to intervene. and to draw it to the attention of the authorities, because sometimes they don't know. What a mess. All right. So somebody was sending me, someone said, I just went to vote and realized that it's not anonymous. I generally prefer a secret ballot. It isn't? Let me see. I don't know what it looks like as a non-administrator. Because really, you can't see people in the channel, but you can see who votes. That's a little bit weird. Let me see if I can tell. But how do you see who it is? I don't think you still can't see who it is. You see their little. It looks like what you do see is their little, like their WhatsApp picture thing, but you may not know who that is. I guess unless it's your own photo, and then people may know. But there's no way for you to like click on it and see who's who. So still anonymous. Yeah. So they can't see who it is, except I suppose if you have your little picture thing up there. All right, the chicken soup, 26-8 votes so far in favor of chicken soup, by the way. All right, so there is something, yeah, I think maybe you see things a little bit differently than others. All right, so there is a group, a pro-port group, says vote yes, save Cayman's cruise tourism or whatever. And they're all up in their feelings this morning. My gosh. So McKeeva is vocal in that group. He's obviously pro-port. In fact, his position is that he doesn't think that we need a referendum. He thinks the government should just push this on the people of the Cayman Islands, regardless of what you guys want. Not surprised by him thinking that way, because he comes from a particular political school where they push anything on you, whether you want it or not. That's politics of yesteryear. You don't get as much of a say in politics as you might think. So, so this is very, very interesting. And there are people in the group who are sending me, oh gosh, all of that. That's a lot. There are people in the group who are sending me the group chats, as people often do, and I'm finding them interesting. And it looks like Mac is all in his feelings about, what did he say this morning? It is what I said. Yep, dictatorship. But he goes on, but says, but really, the management of this chat needs to take off known naysayers who is on the chat to cause trouble. Even them that constantly making insinuations on MPs and others. These troublemakers are some of the reasons we have to fight so hard today to get the needed facilities. What needed facilities is McKeeva talking about? The port? He's saying that that's a needed facility? Okay, that's your opinion, sir. And to be clear, you're not a one-man bandwagon anymore running the show, but clearly this government is entertaining him, because McKeeva has actually made an announcement in this chat that apparently the government, the Minister of Tourism, is going to change the referendum now to have it on election day. And so this is not something that the minister himself has said or that he has announced, but McKeeva Bush is the dog wagging the tail with this government, and he seems to be so much in the know about what is happening and what's going on that he's making announcements. Basically, I'm not going to say on behalf of the government, but he certainly seems comfortable enough to tell you when there is a change in the government's position. Because how many of you have heard that the government is not going to have the referendum ahead of the election? Again, none of us No official. Miss Stacy love to give me a big spoon. You know, I know I have a big mouth, but I like a little spoon. So none of us have heard anything, folks, about this change except for Makiva in this group. So Mac, thank you for confirming that you're such an integral part of this government and that obviously you're in a management role again. And so this is what he says. This morning he's saying that even them that constantly making insinuations on MPs and others, these troublemakers are some of the reason we have to fight so hard today to get the needed facilities. I don't know what CMR said, and I don't care. Clearly you do. What these people who claim to be the press, and he puts that in quotes, say, there have been lies said, and one of these days there will be legal satisfaction for me. Okay, well, sir, you know what you do when people tell lies on you. The legal satisfaction that you take is you hire a lawyer and you take it to court. And I always welcome lawsuits. I'm going to tell you about one threat of a lawsuit that I got the other day. And I said, go ahead, make my day. File your defamation lawsuit because I'm curious about how you think you've been defamed. So Makiva Bush, I mean, I don't know who, again, you only mentioned CMR, so I'm going to assume that you're talking about me. It's probably not a far-fetched assumption, but if you have ever felt aggrieved by anything that I have said about you, anything, please do yourself a favor and go stop gambling, scrounge up some money to find yourself a lawyer who will come at me so I can produce my receipts. You want me to really produce receipts? I mean, do you really want me to bring all the men forward who've talked about how you've approached them, making offers, things that a Christian choir boy should not be offering? Try and go sit down and hush. Let me get my spoon, my proper spoon, because I can see where we are headed this morning. Give me 1 second, honey, chillin'. We're going to come back and address Makiva Bush. Such a scourge in this community. You must have think I have business with you. Hold on 1 second, good folks.
I hear the people talking. What are they talking about? This world's gone crazy, and I'm trying to find a way out. Nobody knows where we're going.
Some of us don't know where we're going, honey child, but I know where I'm going. I'm on the train to the truth. Let me be very, very clear. People like Mac, I can't give no respect to because he hasn't earned it. You know what I'm saying? I don't give two cahoots. You've been in politics for donkey years. You should be in a much better position and more respectable than you are in this day and age. So your idle threats don't mean nothing to me because I got a whole black book of phone numbers. I gotta be calling all your friends. The ones who tell me, oh yeah. When I walked into a room, there was Makiva Bush having a conversation with this other couple and then asking me about my private parts, if he can touch them and this, that. Listen, Makiva, please try and hush. I don't want to have this conversation today. The children just gone back to school and you are ready to have me bring out the cold hard truth on your behind. God knows you need to do better. Anyway, go ahead, get your legal satisfaction. You clearly need some kind of satisfaction. So much so you gotta be paying for it. But anyway, and no one has any desire to lie on you because you're a hot mess all on your own, and you give us enough food for chewing on when it comes to you and your hot mess of a life, woman beater. All right, convicted, by the way. On that matter, on this matter, what is printed is what I said. Exactly, because we're not about lying to people, including you. I feel it is my duty. He says, as the vocal MP on here, because apparently the ministers in the group, Minister Brian, don't have nothing to say. But yes, McKeeva Bush running the show, and he's very, very vocal about the whole port situation. So he says, as the vocal MP on here, I feel it is my duty to have alerted participants to the most vital decision on the matter of cruise facilities and referendum. I have no apologies to make to anyone. I'm elected to make decisions and serve my people. I will. You see, you are elected to make decisions. You're absolutely right about that. But do you think that you're elected to make decisions that go against the grain of what your constituents actually want? Of course he does. Because the one thing I know for sure is that you guys want a referendum. You at least want the option of thinking that your government cares about what you have to say on this very important issue. And let me be very crystal clear here, because I'm not in the business of mincing my words, huh? This not no soup. We're not gonna mince nothing in the soup. Let's be very clear here. One of the reasons why this government is hell-bent on tearing apart the National Conservation Act is because of exactly what McKeeva Bush is saying here. Maybe he's the only honest one amongst the group who can just tell us what it is. Because they're gonna push this down your throats whether you want it or not. It doesn't matter. You know, we're of the opinion that an exercise, a referendum, is going to be an exercise in democracy. Well, there are a lot of people who don't think this has anything to do with democracy. This is going to be an exercise in optics. They're going to do a referendum that is a non-binding referendum on the people of this country. You're going to vote. The majority of you are going to say, nope, we don't want cruise berthing. We have to find an alternative solution. And they're going to push it down your throats anyway. And they're not going to care about the environmental impact, because by then they would have also torn apart the National Conservation Act. And then they're going to go out there and mess up the entire port, mess up, that entire portion of the island, continue to strip away 7 Mile Beach and so on. And there'll be nothing that you can do. Y'all need to wake up. Whatever your position is on this port, I think that a referendum is necessary. So, we need to have a say in important national issues like this. When you have governments that are dictators and don't really care what you think, this is a significant problem. And if you have any doubts about it, McKeeva has said it in his own words. He has said that there is no need at all for a referendum even. Just go ahead and put it in. When you say that to women, just go ahead and put it in. There's no need for consent. Sounds like a predator to me. What a mess. All right. So Quinton says, I hope whoever the Judas is realize that the same CMR that they feed information to be the same CMR that will bring shame on them if the opportunity presents itself. Well, I don't know who Quinton is. But Quinton, everybody knows that if you do the wrong things, if you end up in court, if you, whatever you do to scandalize yourself, CMR will report on it. So we're equal opportunity reporters around here. And what's your point? The various people that are sending me these chats, you think that they're the type of people who are out there getting involved in foolishness to end up on CMR? And I'm sure they get the memo. They got the memo. That if they are, then yes, like everybody else, they will be featured. So what? What do y'all have to hide? If you're on the up and up, you don't have to worry about CMR. So Miss Ethel says, this group chat is entitled Vote Yes. So why allow naysayers? That's where the problem lays. Well, you see, your group chat, and I don't know how many people are in it. Let me find out how many people are in the group. Your group chat might be Vote Yes, but you have to understand that there are people who are undecided. What are they voting yes to exactly? What are you voting yes to, Miss Ethel? Have you given it any due consideration? No one has given you a business plan or proposal of what this this cruise berthing would even look like. No one has done an environmental impact. So you're going to vote yes regardless of any of those things? That sounds quite foolish if I had to give an opinion on it. I can't vote yes. I can't vote no. I want to hear more about what it is that they're even planning on doing, how they're going to do it, who's going to pay for it. There's tons of questions that we simply do not have the answers to. So how do you even go out and vote yes or no for something when you don't have sufficient details? We always talk about data-driven decisions here. So how are you making a decision that is based on what? I don't understand it. Well, math. Well, Sean says, if the decision is announced that the referendum will be held during election next year, there's no sense in us having our rally/public meeting until closer to that date. Oh, they were going to have a rally? Yes, sir. Please let us know your thoughts and opinions here. Thanks. Ah, boy. So the pro-port people are planning a rally. Okay. So there's 467 people in this group. And if y'all think Quentin, McKeeva, Miss Ethel, everybody else that's in the group, if you guys, Sean, if you guys actually think that honestly, all 467 people are in favor of this port, well, what a hot mess y'all in. I tell you. All right. Al Ray says you want to be anonymous in a chicken or beef soup vote. Well, I guess it's not really about that. It's the fact that we do now ask poll questions in the channel. So, but it still looks anonymous to me. It looks like what you can see is just a person's little profile thing. So change your profile picture to maybe something nondescript if you want to participate in the voting. Thank you, Soka. She says he's being cared for. This dog reminds me of the Patrick miracle on Facebook. Found almost dead in Patrick's day. Worse shape than this one. Poor thing. Cassius. Oh, Damien says Big Mac also pushed the first health city in East End and the public was against that also. Look now. I don't think the public was against that. I don't know where you got that from. Which public was against that? I don't think the public was against that. I think there are people just simply, again, asking questions about how it was going to work and what the services were going to be. And are they just other healthcare providers, to be clear, were probably the ones who were against it more than the public. The public wasn't against it. Other providers saw, I guess, the potential that, wow, a new player in the field means competition. And so they expressed that. Cassius says that port is a waste of money and is only wanted by short-sighted people. We need to focus on having a tourism product return to one of quality, not fast cash quantity. Good morning, Mel. She's here for it. This port that we will be burdened with to pay will not benefit from it, really. Let the watch and jewelry sellers pay for it. After all, it's for them. Speaking of letting them pay for it, because you can't really pay for the environmental impact. We're all going to pay for that, right? Someone actually said in the group that they were of the opinion, I think this was Sean that said this, that he was of the opinion that this was something against the Kirkernels, which I thought was crazy. I've never even thought about them, to be honest, when I've thought about this port issue. So let me see where he said this. Give me 1 second. So he said somewhere that this was like a thing against, what did he say? Like has some conspiracy against the Kirkernels or something. I was like, What? Are you kidding me? Oh, yes, here it is. So this is the one now. He says, Frank Cornwall was in the discussion as well. He is pro-port. So Frank says, does Frank even have a job now that Alden's no longer premier? So he says, there should be no need to vote. Common sense as blind man should be able to see it critical to our future generations. So again, he's saying no referendum is needed. Just put it through. And that's McKeeva Bush's position as well. He goes on to say, need a leader and government with integrity. Oh, try and hush. You would know nothing about integrity, sir. And a right attitude to just make the decision and go ahead and get the project started. Let the naysayers fall upon their own words when they see what and how it enhances our country. Oh, boy. Listen, I get it that we're all for democracy and we say that everybody should have a voice and everybody should have a say, and boy, do they ever. Like I said, even broken clocks are right twice a day. But in this case, Frank, what a hot mess you in. You know, every time I hear Frank speak, I have to think to myself, did he ever get caught up in his child support? Because he went and fathered a child by a Caymanian girl young enough to be his own granddaughter. Was sitting out smoking weed all day. Got this poor young lady pregnant. And then wouldn't even support his child while he was making $5,000-$6,000 a month as the personal assistant to Alden, political assistant to Alden McLaughlin. And still wasn't paying child support. And when she had to take him to court to compel him to pay child support, the man was lying about his financial position. So I'm sorry, what did you say? We need people with integrity? I see. What a mess. Renwick says there's a number of bad-minded individuals objecting to the construction of the piers, and it has very little to do with reefs, coral, or environment. It's all about money and hatred towards the Kirkconnell family. Why on earth would we have any hatred towards the Kirkconnells? Who hates them? That's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Against the Kirkconnells family, who does what? They're not doing nothing to nobody. It's all about money and hatred? Well, it might be all about money for some people, because then y'all go on to say how if you don't put this cruise berthing in, y'all are going to starve to death. So it is about money. Those people who want it, the primary reason they want it is they think that they're going to make more money. Seems to me that they might actually be misguided, right? Because when they talk about making more money, I'm like, really? If that is the case, you need to explain to me why you haven't signed up for pre-bookings with the cruises, because the cruise ships are controlling the flow of money on this island. And if you're not part of their pre-booking program, and I see some of you in there complaining that you can't make any money, it's not because there's not a pier or cruise berthing. It's because you're not part of the pre-booking. So you have to beg people as they come off the ships who have it pre-booked. And apparently a good number of people pre-book beforehand. That's why you're not making any money. Again, data-driven decisions. Let's make a proper analysis of why. And it's not that you're not making money. You're not making as much as you want. And the question is, how much do you want versus what you need and what's realistic? I'm just saying. Hold on, Mr. George. Let me plug the phone back in. I was trying to charge you a little bit. I noticed it was kind of low. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Sandy. How are you today?
Morning, honey child. I'm good. How are you?
Well, just listening to the conversation, like your mom and most of your family, especially your dad, we grew up not grew up, but I grew up in Georgetown.
Oh yeah.
I think your mom grew up in Georgetown and dad. But it is very sad. I had the opportunity a few days ago to go into Georgetown for a drive, and I was lost. That was one. That's one. Just give me a minute. I want to say something about this port. If you all remember some time back when Mr. Kem Jackson, or even and Mr. Bobby Soro, God bless his soul, when he was alive, that they were talking about this port in Georgetown, what it would mean and what would happen. And I am so sad to hear this because, number one, they're voting on something that they not saw yet. They don't know the plans, what it is, or anything. Nobody showed them any kind of drawings or anything, what it would be. But Georgetown right now is they calling it vitalized, but Georgetown is destroyed. I remember years ago when Mr. Ashley Godfrey, those crowd of people from Shade Road would go Hawkstide Bay and get there early morning, swim, exercise, and enjoy. It's nothing in Georgetown now to see. You can hardly drive through Georgetown. Hardly drive. I remember the Cardinal Avenue is gone completely. I don't know. It looks like Georgetown is being relocated to Kimana Bay. That's what it looks like to me. And I'm talking, I am 4 scores gone.
Mm-hmm.
4 score gone in age growing up. And let me tell you, I can't see Georgetown. I don't know what's happening with Georgetown. There's no improvement. All of those old Kimanian people, elderly people that used to be in Gorin Avenue, all of those that was from Boilers Road, all of those from Shade Road, it's nothing left. I went to in town a few days ago, Miss Anne, and I was looking for the Georgetown Post Office. I was looking for Georgetown Post Office. I don't know if the people at the Cayman Island, the Caymanians I'm talking about, really realize what is happening to us here. It's gone. Cayman is gone completely. I'm so sad. We are living in a foreign land, and I'm telling you, me, George, let it born and raised in Georgetown, Mary Street. Grew up in Mary Street on that waterfront there. And it is gone. It's not. I'm lost when I go in town. I get lost. I confused. I cannot drive. I still have a valid driver license. I just got it renewed a few weeks ago, months ago, sorry. But I'm not driving. I refuse to drive in Georgetown or anywhere. It is so sad. But Miss Andy, if they, I think it's too late to put a port, because if they ever bridge there, Georgetown is gone. It is going to sink. If they ever decide to dredge there, and let me tell you something, the cruise ships want to be in charge. They want to take control, Anywhere they go, they want to take control. And I will tell you, port or no port, cruise ships will still come to Cayman. When I used to drive, I've heard tourists tell me they like getting off of the ship on the tender and enjoying that little ride from the ship to the port. They used to enjoy it. You understand? And Georgetown is gone. Dredging and the referendum are there. I don't know if it's, they still maybe have enough time that they can drop something that people can see what they vote on. You can't go vote on something you don't know what the detail about.
Yeah,
You got it,
that's my problem. That's my problem.
and
What are we even voting on?
the government is not showing you anything.
Mm-hmm.
You need to see something when you're working on, yes or no. Thank you, Miss Sandy, for
Thank you
bringing
so
these
much,
up.
Mr. George.
You continue doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You might have to put on a Goliath uniform soon, but I'll help you design it.
Thank you. Thank you, darling. I appreciate it. What a mess. There's so many issues here. And of course, I see some of you asking the same question, which is, what is it exactly that we're even voting for? Let's look at some of these questions. These are important questions. And yes, we're close to 9:30. We'll go into a little bit of overtime this morning. So K9F8 says, everywhere I look, it's the same tired excuse from members of the public saying that you can't afford the port or a CYB school. For goodness sake, you are tax-free, an 800% return on investment. I don't know where you get your numbers from, K9F8, but you're woefully misinformed. But let's continue to read his comments. Furthermore, your budget most of the time is the same, $1.038 billion. Don't act like you can't afford it, K-Man. The rest of the world is seek if you're crying about your own customs tax law. He goes on to say, furthermore, your budget is the same as usual. Oh, that must have been said twice. All right. So, then he says, stop acting like you're broke. The rest of the world can see through that bogus lie. All right. Your name is K9F8. Let's set you straight, because for lack of knowledge, your people will perish. Okay. So there are a couple things here that you're misinformed about. He says, you imagine if you were stuck with McKeever Bush's premier being knocked down to tax compliant $606 million for a budget. That is a lot of fuss over US taxes. Know your limits. Okay, you're losing me here with your comments and what it is that you're saying. But let's clarify a couple of things. When you say that we have a $1 billion budget, let's be clear what that is. We don't have a $1 billion budget in the sense that, we're going to do forecasting of what we can actually afford. What we have is $1 billion worth of expenses. We are hemorrhaging. This is the correct way to be looking at this. We're hemorrhaging $1 billion. That money comes from where? KF98, whatever your name is. Ask yourself, where does that money come from? That money is not coming from customs taxes and duties. Go look at the budget document. How much money did customs bring in? We are borrowing money. You're saying, you got this $50 million capital project called a school. The port is going to be God knows what. East-West Arterial is going to be hundreds and, into the hundreds of millions of dollars. You think that we have that money just sitting there free for all and waiting to be used? We're borrowing money from lending institutions with interest attached to it. That's how we're paying for these capital expenditures. If you have to borrow money to pay for ish, you are not in a good financial position. You're certainly not in a great financial position as you're claiming. Now he claims that we actually have $3 billion that comes from the UK. You see, oh, Lord. Really? So where's the $3 billion? When did the UK start giving us money? And he says that's $1 billion per quarter. All right, son, you need to go read. Okay. This is where now you're completely off the mark. You're misinforming people. You haven't read, you haven't educated yourself. And at some point we have to stop engaging with you because it doesn't make any sense. The last budget was in excess of $1 million. We spent that money. That's what we have earmarked to spend, with a couple million left over. I think at one point we were so close. It was like what, 500,000, $500,000. I don't even know. And that is when, if you guys recall, that former Premier Panton was saying we need to haul in the spending. If you haven't spent it, government departments, do not spend it. He says, I don't know anything about Cayman finance. Well, clearly you know far less than I do. And that's an unfortunate situation. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I can tell you one thing I do know is that you have done zero reading, zero educating of yourself. Let us go back to December the 19th of 2023, when Premier Juliana O'Connor Connolly said in Parliament that increased fees are necessary as she's passing the 2024 budget process. If we had all this $3 billion sitting down with nothing to do, what makes you think that she would be talking about increase in fees? That is why the other day, the man who's now responsible for some of this, Mr. Andre Ebanks, is saying, oh, we need to increase fees across all of financial services, including trying to leverage a fee against the credit union. She said it. This is what she said. How is this or any government supposed to offer increased social support as well as new and expanded public services without increasing any fees or taxes? I'm going to read this article for you because clearly, young man, whoever you are, you're not well read. Amid concerns about a $1.052 billion budget, which includes borrowing and proposed plans to increase fees, the 2024-2025 budget was passed in Parliament on Friday, December the 15th. Core government spending operating expenses, inclusive of financing expenses, are forecasted to be over $1 billion in 2024. It goes up even more in 2025, $1.083 billion. Financing expenses element of the proceeding is forecasted to be $18.4 million in 2024. Then we're financing $24.7 million in 2025. Now, with government forecasting to earn $1.09 billion in 2024, and then you spend $1.083 billion, it doesn't take a mathematician, it doesn't take a financial expert, it doesn't take even a high schooler to put two and two together to figure out the difference between $1.095 billion and $1.083 billion is a little toops. That is too close of a margin. This government recognizes that we are, in fact, on the verge of a financial crisis, and that is why now they're going to be pushing through the increase in fees, including those as it relates to financial services. We are going to run afoul of the FFR. And once that happens, that will give the UK the possibility of coming in and handling some of our affairs for us. That's what y'all want? It's because this government is short-sighted and they are hemorrhaging money left, right, and center. Even the opposition, which has hardly been any opposition in the past 4 years, expressed their concerns about over-borrowing to fund financial capital projects, the introduction of new revenue measures, and increased personnel costs. Juliana O'Connor Connolly, the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, who is the Minister for Finance and Economic Development, funny enough, noted that the current dire necessity for infrastructure projects to catch up with population growth and cautioned that the leaders of today must look further ahead to plan for the problems of the future. Yes, but you don't do that by putting yourself in more debt that the people have to then pay for. The framework for fiscal responsibility, they're in trouble come 2025 and 2026, and they know it. She would have been in a much better position had she not committed to building a $50 million school in Cameron Brack. The personnel budget has increased. She has deemed increased revenue measures as necessary, despite the fact that the opposition leader says that they're unnecessary. Well, they didn't do much of a better job themselves, to be quite frank and honest. So those increases are coming. The government is going to borrow $150 million over 2 years. This is just to meet government's planned capital investments for that budget period. Right? Capital investments in ministries, portfolios, and offices of approximately $125.3 million in 2024, and then $93 million in 2025. So the information is here, and that's assuming that nothing goes over budget, which is ridiculous because government has never done a project that has been on time and in budget. So it's really quite unfortunate when people speak on, I dropped my phone, 1 second, somebody's calling me. When people speak in platforms like this, and K9, I don't care if you worked at Butterfield Bank, you still don't have a clue what's going on with the management of this country, the fiscal management. Good morning, caller. You trying to call the show? Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I'm on air, so you can't speak with me when I'm live on air. Okay, my dear. All right. K9FA says, I worked at Butterfield Bank doing what? Tell her. I know what Panton and Connolly are up to, and that's because I set up the regiment with Alden. Who's Panton and Connolly? The premier and the former premier? What are they up to? RMR says K9F8 ramblings is that of the uninformed. We suffer for lack of knowledge, and boy, do we ever. Boy, do we ever. Aunt Lottie said they got it down to the yes. What a mess. Aliano says, well, I tell you to stay over tourists, spend more. I tell you that the man spent close to $300 one night for dinner for his wife and for him, his wife, and 2 people. Morning, Lanny. One family of 6 spent $800 on dinner, and let's forget the 5 days that they were here. Blissful Powell says, yes, bring the UK in, because because what we have still not making a difference. Who cared? Wow. We all know, yet limited to what can be done. It is definitely a sad situation because unfortunately, I have to wonder how much it is that we even know. We know the situation is dire. That much we do know. And to be quite frank and honest, Blissful Powell, I suspect that people are not paying enough attention to recognize how dire the situation is in this country. Bringing in the UK is not going to be a good alternative, either way you take it. But if the government's decisions are forcing us in that direction, then it is what it is. Shannon, good morning, says they keep letting everyone in. So who's at fault for the population overgrowth? If it wasn't government and governments of the past, idiots. RMR says we need to focus on slowing immigration and eliminating work permits leading to PR. Must be brought to an end now. We need managed growth. Gabby, I don't know what job he supposedly has, but we're now officially in overtime. So we bid adieu to our radio listeners. And we're going to turn it up a little bit here. Okay. Listen. Everybody is entitled to an opinion. Just like everybody is entitled to, you guys know what. I'm not even going to say it because I think everybody knows what it says. Somebody says K9 sounds like Hunter. It's so funny you should say that because I think they were on the other day and somebody said the exact same thing because stupid can't hide. It's difficult for stupid to hide. So this was dating back to sometime last month, I think. Let me just try to check this message. And I tell you what, this person also said, no, this was September the 5th. The new poster seems like Hunter, September the 4th. And I said, I was kind of thinking the same thing. And they said, then put that hammer down. I don't know. I mean, it's funny that people have to hide behind, certain fake accounts on social media. And yeah, when they start to speak, then you recognize how ill-informed they are. And so we live in a democracy. We live in a society where even the ill-informed are entitled to their opinion. And there are options for them to express that opinion. And, we're trying to set a particular standard here on CMR where, yeah, you might be entitled to your opinion, but when everything you say is misinformation and you've not taken the time to learn or to read or to educate yourself, you're just making yourself look stupid. And quite frankly, you're becoming a nuisance to other people in the chat who are here trying to have a meaningful conversation, who are perhaps even trying to learn something themselves. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. Okay? And this now is where, you make yourself look stupid. No one is going to be engaging with you when you're saying all these ridiculous things that are completely wrong. Gabby says he is Hunter because he said, but he finna win the election in West Bay. I got screenshots of the comment section. So might be trying to throw us off instead of saying, oh, I'm running in Georgetown, pretend to be running in West Bay. Then claim that he's in Florida. Listen, K9, F8, nobody gives a shit. Let me just be very frank and honest with you, right? Whatever game it is that you're trying to play here today, nobody's paying you any mind. You're making yourself look stupid and nobody gives a shit, quite frankly. And you're starting to annoy people. So that's what the ban button is for. I'm 51 years old now, folks, as of August. And let me be very, very clear. I don't like people to annoy me. My patience over the years has grown thinner over time. If you're not a child, an old person, or a dog, I'm not going to give you much time to annoy me. Go find something useful to do with your lives. There's too much misinformation that's already circulating in this community. A lot of our MPs are the purveyors of that misinformation. And so we work very, very hard to try to have half intelligent conversations on here where we are providing people with fact-based information, something that they can go away with and really consider and contemplate. Now, I know that there's some people who create these fake accounts because maybe they work in the civil service and they're afraid to speak up and, they still want to participate in the conversation. But there are rules of engagement even on this platform. Okay? So if you can't play by the rules of engagement and you're not going to just sit back and be quiet in class, we're not going to allow you to be a class clown and annoy other people with complete misinformation. Misinformation can be very dangerous. People think, what is it? Oh, what you don't know can't hurt you. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And some of y'all live your lives with that mantra. What you don't know can hurt you. And it will hurt you. This person says Hunter needs to stick to running a coffee shop on the side of the road. Oh my God. Another person says, morning, Sandy. Can you imagine if we had a bad hurricane with the government finances being what they are? We're up shit creek. Exactly. We have no room whatsoever for any inevitabilities, any disasters, none of that stuff. We are screwed if we get a hurricane. The government have to go borrow money in order to get us out of trouble. So stop lying to people about we have $3 billion, my apologies, sitting down with nothing better to do with it. Like, seriously? The whole issue of the cruise port tourism, whether we're going to do cruise berthing or, even the plan for what our tourism product should look like, is an important discussion that we need to be having on a regular basis. And we need to make a plan of action and some decisions around. We do need to stop kicking this proverbial can down the road and never deciding what it's going to be. If, as El Rey says, that we all know for sure that stayover tourists are better for us, and that is where we're going to focus a good deal of our energy, and we're going to just try to maintain the status quo as it relates to tourism, cruise tourism, my apologies, then we need to say that. Everybody needs to be on the same page, right? Enough is enough. Someone said since 1992, we've been talking about this and we've gotten no further ahead. Caymanians have a certain, what's the word that I'm looking for? Expertise in kicking the can down the road and never getting very much done. The same thing with the East-West Arterial. Oh, now it's so critical. Yeah, because for umpteenth years, that can, 25 plus years now, that can has been slowly kicking down the mall road and not going anywhere. Can we start to make better decisions? But you see, that requires forecasting. That requires planning. As somebody said, population growth metrics. Like all of a sudden we had a population boom and everybody's going, oh, how did that happen? What kind of proverbial donkeys do we have running this damn country? How did it happen? You mean y'all didn't see the influx in business licenses? Why it was happening, right? Y'all need to start slowing some of this shit down. Stop approving every single business license for people who y'all know do not even have a legitimate business model. They have no customers. They have nothing. And then they turn around and use those business licenses to apply for work permits for people that they don't have any work for. I have people in the Filipino community who are being abused by their own Filipinos, being paid to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to be able to come to this country so that then they can job hop around until they can find work, meaningful work. That's not how the immigration system is supposed to work. This is straight up a bunch of bullshit, if you ask me. It's not working. It's broken. Right? Temporary work permits. Y'all need to fix that. Y'all talking about immigration reform? Fix that, because that is one of the biggest areas of abuses. Check the percentage of people who are putting in for work permits and have no work for people, can't afford to pay them. Forget about a minimum wage. They're not paying them none at all. And so these people are out here selling drugs, selling numbers, prostituting, swindling people, taking advantage of people, whatever it takes to be able to remain in the Cayman Islands. Because it's still better than the shithole that they're coming from. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Okay? And this is the kind of thing that we're encouraging in this country. We got to do better. As Damon rightfully says, it requires vision and critical thinking. It sure does. And we don't have people who are visionary, who are running this country. Clearly not. Otherwise, we would not be in the conundrum that we are now. Huh? But yet, we have the likes of leaders of this country, like the McKeeva Bush, who's sitting here talking about we need a population in excess of $100,000 for people to be able to survive in this country. How the hell are you going to survive with growth that isn't even managed? How does that make any sense? Right? This is what happens when we continue to let people, for all the good that McKeeva has done, his time has passed. Okay? This is not Cayman of 40, 50 years ago. We need people who think differently, who understand the world differently, who can see it through a very different type of lens. And unfortunately, he's antiquated and it ain't him. Sir, thank you for your 45, 50 years of service. Please step the fuck down and go sit down with your wife and try to enjoy your senior years. You have no vision. For all the foolishness that you have done over the years, you have no vision. Because it's people like you, the godfather of parliament now, who has helped to put this country in the predicament that it's in. And you continue to want to be an agitator, continue to want to be a mean player. People talking about, oh, he's supposed to be, he's not running in this election. Right. And I have some swamp land I can sell you all that's worth a couple $2 billion that I think you should purchase too. People like that can never let go of power because that is what drives them. They are power hungry at all cost. And if it means selling the people down the river or down the little ocean bank or down the dikes, that is exactly what they are going to do. And they don't care because their short-sightedness is all about money. Tell me something. How can someone who has been leader of government business, premier of this country, been in there for 40 years himself, be in the fiscal position that he's in where he barely has a pot to piss in? You think he's the one that should be giving us financial advice about how to run this country and what capital projects are in the best interest of this country and how we're going to, be forward thinking and keep our tourism product alive? Everything he says is short-sighted because he has proven himself not to have the necessary discipline to even make half decent decisions in his own personal life that show how you can be fiscally responsible, how you can build something that you can then pass on from generation to generation. At one point in the chat, he made some comment about how he's concerned about his grandchildren because he got, I forget how many he said he had, one load of them. Only God knows where he got so many. And he has to be concerned about his umpteenth grandchildren, right? And I thought to myself, isn't that funny? You have been in an enviable position, way more than most of us. Guaranteed salary the whole time that you've been in government, double dipping in pension, as a matter of fact, right? Getting pension and still getting paid. You were Speaker of the House making what, $16,000 a fucking month? And you don't have anything to pass on to your own grandchildren? You talking foolishness about you have to try and destroy the environment in this country to be able to pass on something to your grandchildren? You know what you're passing on to them? Destruction, debt, death. That what y'all passing on to your grandchildren? You should have been able to build a little empire because God knows you were getting enough money under the fucking table to be able to do so. Call your lawyer and challenge me. Because you know that memo that you sent on government letterhead, that wasn't no commission for no land. That was you doing what you do best in this country, which is line your pockets first. Yeah, you've done good. Yeah, you've helped people. Nobody's not saying that. But at what cost have you done all of those things? You've not suffered because of it. But you yourself has had so little foresight. Huh? That you have made decisions, you and all previous governments have made decisions that have put this country in the situation that we're in now. Let's talk about that. That's why we're in such dire straits. That's why everything seems like it's a knee-jerk reaction and it has to be done right now, right now, right now. Everybody's so scared. Because of people like you. You've been there for 50 years. What have you done in 50 years to make our lives any better? I'm saying you've not even done anything to make your own life any better because you've had, what happened to all your businesses? All failed, all gone. What happened to Cambridge Realty? They still around? After the millions of dollars you made off of the Ritz-Carlton, the millions of dollars you made off of these developers that were lining your pockets, what have you done with your own money? What property have you invested in that you can now pass on to those grandchildren? Why are you so scared about their future if you were doing what you should have been doing? You know why? Because you out there womanizing, screwing in with Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Samantha, Jojo, and everybody else in between. You out there gambling, up in casinos in Miami, Vegas, and all over the place, drinking yourself into stupor, and then getting up on a Sunday, singing in a choir, and trying to fool the people of the Cayman Islands that you somebody that we should look up to. Really? Are y'all serious? Cayman has changed the Makiva Bushes of the world, okay? We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We're sick and tired of politicians like you. You need to go. Now, if you don't step down and do it gracefully, the people of West Bay need to wake up. They are one of the worst districts when it comes to social reliance on NAU. I would love to see the numbers, NAU numbers by district. Somebody need to try and FOI that and see how many people West Bay getting help. You know why? Because their leader, who has been with them for 45, 50 years, has created a welfare state out of West Bay. That's why. People don't want to work if they can work because they'd rather get the handouts. They'd rather hold off for the 4 years to be able to sit there and get the handouts. He says, I have 5 grandchildren to help create a future for. At your age now, and as long as you've been in government, you talk about creating a future for your 5 grandchildren? What about everybody else's grandchildren? What kind of future are you going to be creating for them or that you have already created for them? It's not one to be proud of, I can tell you that. So we're sick and tired of your womanizing. We're sick and tired of you playing politics. We're sick and tired of you being the one who, I mean, it's so ridiculous. Every single election, he's like the man standing who's going to help form the government. Him and Julie are cut from the same cloth, you know? Just that one wearing a dress and the other one wearing pants. And we know that they could interchange them and they'd be just fine. Like, really? Y'all want change? How are you going to get change? When people have been there, the Honorable Juliana Connor has been there for almost 30 years. What has she done for the people of Cayman Brac? Brackers, have your lives improved in the past 30 years? Tell me. I dare you to tell me how you've seen any improvements. It's the same bullshit all the time from these elected members. Stop being hoodwinked by them. They don't want to listen to the people. They're going to tell you what they are going to do. Right? Oh, we don't want you to have a referendum in this port. We can just do it. That's what Makiva Bush has said. Who the hell is Makiva Bush? Y'all have tried to create these people into demagogues when they don't even have. Listen, I wouldn't make him come and teach my dog Zeus anything. I give the man credit. As an uneducated man with not even so much as a high school diploma, he has done well for himself. Okay? Because nobody would have expected him to even keep the best job in the world for 50 years he's managed to keep. But do not be fooled. Don't be fooled into thinking that this man actually cares about the people of Cayman Islands all that much. He cares about himself first and foremost. Okay? He's had a good run. Congratulations, sir. Please now go home and stay home with Miss Carrie. And try not to break any of her arms while you're at it. Don't push her down those steps. Huh. You paying these elected officials $8,000 plus a month, and you don't even see them. You don't hear from the majority of them. They're not doing nothing for you. And come election time, somehow they manage to convince you to vote for them time and time again. What is in this secret sauce that y'all drinking? What is it? How are they able to do it? But Sue said he created the mess Cayman is in now with what he did, giving out all those status grants. And it wasn't him alone that did it. Every member of his government at the time. Go and check who was part of the UDP government. They're all to blame for that. Especially the ones who are ministers and sat in cabinet, because cabinet approved those. It wasn't just McKeever Bush by himself. So make sure that you hold them accountable. Ralston, wasn't you in cabinet at the time? Who else was in cabinet at the time? Hold every single one of them responsible for what they have done to this country, because that accelerated our growth. That was unplanned. Even to them and their jackassery hadn't had it planned out. That's why any and everybody at the last minute was coming in with police records and getting it signed off. Those people have gone on to get status. They've gone on to become a burden, some of them, on the system. Right? Look at Laval. Go and look at the list. We can pull up the list. Let's go through the list and see how many of those people are productive. Laval Marriott, one of the most ridiculous people in this country, protesting, suing everybody, suing the police, suing this one. So ridiculous. And she was one of those status grants from McKeever Bush. You see the caliber of what we have done to this country? She can go sprawl out her front all over our government building. No respect for a country that has, where she's lived off of NAU practically the whole time that she's been here. And y'all want to know why we have fiscal issues? Why is NAU hemorrhaging money? This, that, and the next thing? Decisions have consequences, you know? And we have allowed MPs, ministers, premiers to make decisions that were not in the best interest of the people of this country. And we have never held them accountable. We are 6 months out from a general election, folks. It's time that you hold people accountable. Grade them, take out your scorecard. And the newcomers who claim that they're a better alternative, they're not even saying they're a better alternative, because you heard what Hunter said. Well, he can't do no worse than David White. Y'all can imagine the logic that takes, right? He's not saying I'm a better alternative. He's saying I can't do any worse. My God. Really? That's the standard? That's how low the bar is? Somebody who can't do any worse than what is in there now? Not saying that I can do better. I'm not going to do worse. Nah. That ain't what we're looking for. That kind of thinking, that kind of rhetoric, that ain't going to cut it. Let's find people who at least can commit to doing better. And then once they get in there, we'll hold them to a standard to see if they will actually be doing better. Lord Jesus, let me give you all this update. Remember the guy and his wife that we had featured last week? Was it Thursday? The one he's had 4 jobs. Now he just got another job again. So he was on social media posting about his latest job. Somebody sent it to me yesterday. And it's so interesting because his wife, on the one hand, claims that she can't find work. She's in dire need of work and she don't know why she can't work. It's so funny because her husband seems to have the luck of the Irish. She can't find work, but he can sure find jobs. 5 jobs in 2 years. That is way more than Caymanians would ever be able to find. So he put up about how he's happy to be starting a new position as senior consultant, technical architect at this company here. And I just had to shake my head when I saw this. The person sent it to me. He was like, wow, this is the guy that you were just talking about the other day. Look, speaking of job hopping all over the place, here he is again. Got himself another job. I said, wow. Unbelievable. And his wife has the audacity to talk about she can't find a job. I'm thinking to myself, what alternative reality do these people actually live in? Your husband has had 5 jobs in 2 years. You feel perturbed, upset, disenfranchised that because as a non-Caymanian, you cannot find a job? I'm like, wow, what a mess. Then he had the audacity to send me a message about, oh, you know, who's your lawyer? I'm going to have my lawyers contact you. I said, really? You must be crazy. Let me show y'all what this man had the audacity to send me, because you know that some Johnny come latelys haven't figured out what the real deal is in this country, right? This is a message. Let me read it for y'all. This was Friday at 3:37 p.m. Good day. Someone from your organization posted a video up stating very insulting, demeaning, and derogatory things about my wife and I. It's in this video. It started around 3:30 in the video and contains all sorts of falsehoods, doxing, and revealing of personal information. This is more talking about Michelle Merrick all over the video, including her medical history. This isn't right at all. What can we do about this? So the administrator replied and said, hello, is anything reported on their false? Come back and said quite a bit, actually. She gets no support from the Cayman government. I support her completely. They were also questioning my employment history and doxing me when this is just how the IT world works. It was all quite hateful and disturbing. Posting my name and work history was grossly inappropriate when the topic was about her posts on Facebook. When you get a moment, please send me your legal department contact. Thank you. Well, y'all know I had to step in then and respond. And I said, no one said anything about support from government, so I'm not sure what you heard. You're free to contact the courts and your own lawyer on how to proceed. I'm sure they can assist you more than me. He responds, I will do exactly that. Thank you for your time. I was hoping to not have to escalate things. Really, Bobo? Really, Garth? You missed a couple memos. You can escalate things all you want, honey child. And you'll get a reality check. No one said anything that was not correct about you. You might have been offended. You might have thought it was disturbing and hateful. That's your opinion. The fact that you can come to this country in 2 years and get 5 jobs is what I find quite disturbing, to be honest, as a non-Caymanian. And yet I have Caymanians who are here who can find no employment in years, that are qualified, that are constantly sending out their resumes. So the best advice I could give you is to go and spend some of that IT money on finding a lawyer. Talk to them. They'll school you if they're worth their salt. If not, they'll take your money, because a fool and his money shall soon part. And it is what it is. Right? He says that's just how the IT world works, really. As I said previously, and I'm going to say it again for those sitting in the back of the classroom, let me be very, very clear. My husband works in IT. And that is not how the IT world works. If you're a grain of salt in the IT industry, you don't float around this many jobs. You're going to soon be out of job options, if the truth be told. Because one of the things that I've noticed is every job you get, it becomes a company that no one has ever heard of. You started out pretty good with companies that are known. Now you're down to this company where they claim that they have branches in Canada, Cayman, and somewhere else. Good for you. Let's see how long you keep this one for before you're out the door. Come now. Mr. Garth, contact your lawyer. You can see this as an escalation, but we don't take threats from people like you, okay? Like I said, you do you. You do whatever it is that you need to do that you feel, is going to help you sleep better at night, that you're not going to feel as disturbed. And for the record, all of this quote unquote information that we shared was information that you and your wife have put out in the public domain. You can't put stuff on public profiles, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, for the world to see and then talk about, oh, that's personal information. I mean, I know that a donkey is born every second, but you can't be serious. They're sharing public information. Everything that I have access to and that I look up is considered public information. Even all of your addresses in the United States of America, all that is public information. The fact that you were living in a $7,600, or your wife was living in a $7,600 valued home, which means it can only be a trailer home. All of that is a matter of public information. It's just that I know how to do research and I have access to these public databases. So what are you going to sue people for using a public database that has your information? Do yourself a favor. Start to pack your bags. I'm just saying. There's a lot better IT people, both expats and Caymanians, who don't need 5 jobs in 2 years. I can tell you that much. Morning, Neelis says, welcome to Cayman, where Caymanians can't get decent paying jobs. And if for the Caymanians working in jobs that rather train foreigners for positions they themselves could be promoted to. Aliano says, too many here job hopping. As soon as they come here, they jump to another job. But how is it possible while on a work permit? That's because WRC isn't really paying attention. And someone said, if he's not leaving of his own accord, then technically it's not job hopping, which makes me then wonder if all of these employers are letting him go, right? So say that that's actually what's happening here to this person's point. That's even worse, that they can let him go for whatever reason, and then he can turn around and secure additional employment. Trust me, that makes no sense. Blissful Powell says, thank you, Miss Sandy. If I love you one more time, trust me, without your classes, we'd be so lost in these woods Cayman don't have. It's still a crying shame. And it is a crying shame at Blissful Powell that when you want to hold people accountable, and we try to hold everybody accountable here, they think they can intimidate us by talking about send me your legal department's contact information. Here you go, honey child. The email address is tips@caymanmallroad.com. Everybody in Cayman has my personal number, but let me give it to you, Garth, so you can have it. All of your lawyers, whatever lawyer you go in Cayman, I assure you they know how to contact me. 324-1612. Ask them to call me. I will gladly come and pick up whatever documents you're trying to serve on people. Okay. We can do that dance. I haven't done it in a minute. Might be a little bit rusty, but I can dust off my feet, put on my dancing shoes for court, and we can do that again. No problem. I want to remind you that no one has won a civil lawsuit against me yet, huh? Keep that in mind. Those of you claiming, oh, she's defaming me. The last person who made that claim now currently owes me $50,000 that I can't get from him for his frivolousness and trying to defend, an allegation that he could not defend. Blissful Powell says, look at the power these people have gained. Wow. Again, second-class citizens as we Caymanians in our own island. Being Caymanian has no weight from now on. I'm a no-warian. Well, I know one thing, Blissful Powell. I am not claiming that. I'm not putting that name on myself. I'm not a Nowarian. I'm a Caymanian. Born, half-bred, because I didn't live here the whole time, and proud of it. So let me tell you something. Nobody, not the Garth Cooks of the world or his wife, whatever the hell her name is, none of them, Michelle Merrick or anybody else, is going to come to my country and make me feel less than. But you see, they don't like when you call them out on their foolishness. And that's all this is about. They've been highlighted. Now everybody looking at them with a side eye, because even the person who sent me this stuff yesterday on his new job, not even a Caymanian, and they're like, Sandy, something is wrong here. How some of these expats, because not all expats are the same, are able to come here and hoodwink the system. So when you speak on them, they have a problem. Well, too bad. Good morning, caller.
Morning. I've been trying so hard to refrain, but I can't. So I was listening to I think it was the midday show on Radio Cayman the other day, where the DG was on there. And I don't know if you listened to it, but they were speaking about employment and how the employment process within government works and how MPs have to like stay out of it. I guess they were trying to
convince somebody,
do damage control about the whole hiring of expats within government or whatever. I don't know. But he said one thing that was interesting to me, and I would like further clarification, because I don't call in that show because it takes 5 years to get on to the program. I would like clarification because someone asked, right, a question. They said, if a Caymanian, a young Caymanian, and an expat are both meet the requirements, because if you notice on the government website, right, there's requirements for the job, and then they also list like extra things that would be
nice,
beneficial, preferential, like would give you a leg up, right? So someone asked if a Caymanian, young Caymanian, say just coming back from school, meets the requirements, and an expat also applies for the job that meets the requirements but has extra, then who would get the job?
Right.
And I don't want to quote, but the answer seemed as if they were saying, because he said the person who is the best for the job will get the job. Like, we're going to hire the best person, the most qualified person. So it seems to me that he was saying that, and this is why I'm saying I want clarification, because I'm not sure. But it seems to me he's saying, okay, if a young Caymanian comes back and applies for a government job, say a teacher's assistant, right? They went off, they did their associates or their bachelor's in teaching or teaching assistant, whatever, right? And they came back and they applied for the job. But an expat applied for the job and they had, say, 5 years experience. But obviously this Caymanian just got out of college, whatever. It seems to me as if what he was saying is the expat will get the job rather than hire the Caymanian and train them and work with them. Because let's be real, certain positions, you have to have on-the-job training no matter what. Like, you have to learn the systems. Like, if you're in immigration, you have to learn their system. If you're doing an accounting job, you have to learn whatever accounting software is. So everything is going to require some sort of on-the-job training.
Yeah.
So it sounded to me, and I could be wrong, as if they're saying well, we're going to have to hire the expat because they're the best one for the job. And that's in government. We're talking about in government. So if that's the case, then really and truly, Caymanians we're
screwed.
Exactly, for lack of a better word. Like there's no hope for us if we don't even have that advantage in government. Then why would I even? Would I even keep my kids here?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you one better than that, caller. Right? I'm gonna do you one better. There have been instances, and there's one in particular in education with a young lady. Her last name is Ebanks. I can't think of her first name now. Where she had applied for a job and she was more qualified for the job. She scored higher than the expat. This is a civil service job, neither. And the civil service hiring committee decided to give the expat over the overqualified Caymanian who scored higher than him. Sheena Ebanks. Sheena, I think her name is Sheena. And trust me,
not a real place. Like
she challenged them.
And like I say, I would be the first to say I have no problem with expats. No problem with expats. I have many expats that are friends. They've come here, they've integrated, they fully understand they know. But and it's not the expats' problem. They're trying to get the job, they're trying to do better for themselves. Good on them.
Yep.
It's whoever is
So
we're in a mess.
They sued,
we are in a mess.
Let me tell you this. She sued the government and won. And you know the government was still trying to fight this girl on this. So, I mean, bless his little heart. France Manderson, I like France, but there are times when the civil service themselves are making decisions that doesn't make any sense. And it's not in the best interest of Caymanians. And this is but one example. But you see, we are so easy to forget these examples that exist. The ruling found that expat worker, who, by the way, the only reason why he even scored in the top 4 or 5 is because government put him in the position as acting for a period of over a year. So that then when he applied for the job, he was able to claim that as his experience. You can imagine only in Cayman would this kind of nonsense go on and be permitted.
And I can understand in the private sector, okay, whatever. But in government, I was always under the impression that
they were supposed to be leading by example.
I was in this false, I don't know, but I always thought that government jobs, like a Caymanian that is qualified would get it, hands down. I always thought that was the case.
Yep. Yes, Magdalene, it was Sheena Ebanks. And this is the sad thing about it, is if our government isn't leading by example, this is the same thing that I'm saying with our teachers and assistant teachers, right? We have someone in there. Yes, Miss Monteith is supposed to be a Caymanian. God knows she's been here long enough. She has status. But she still obviously identifies very much with her Jamaican roots. And she has a preference for hiring Jamaican teachers that are Seventh-day Adventists.
And
why is that?
Absolutely no problem with that. But where there's a problem is when there is a Caymanian that is equally qualified or more qualified that has applied for the job. Then the Caymanian should get the job. If I apply for the job and I have 3 years experience, right? And the requirement for the job is 3 years experience, but the expat has 5 years experience, I should get the job as a Caymanian.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a question, especially in government.
We have another
that should
caller
not
on the
be a
line.
question.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you so much, caller. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We do have another caller who was trying to call us. Sorry, call back. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's almost a no-brainer. But what they did to Sheena, and here's the thing, there were other Caymanians on that list who still came even above. Sheena was number 1. I think in the number 2 spot was Samantha Bennett. And then this guy might have been number 3 or number 4. He wasn't even number 2 in the ranking, and somehow they gave him the job. This over, by the way, in the same education ministry. What the hell? Good morning, caller.
This young lady that is on the phone asked a question or said that white Caymanians can't get the job before. The reason why is because we have too much hatred against each other. Your mother don't like my neighbor don't like my cousin. Sandra to get a higher position than me because I don't want her to make $1 higher. That's it. There's too much hatred within Caymanians. And how one Caymanian apply and one expat apply, the expat and get it. You want me to tell you why? The Caymanian that are in higher position feel like they can manipulate that expat, but they cannot manipulate that Caymanian. That's the final. There's no more explanation needed for that.
Yeah.
There's too much hatred, too much jealousy. I get a new car, you can't get the new car. I get a new car, you don't get the new bike. So it's like I can't get nothing. You jealous what I have.
That's true.
Bye.
That is very, very true. I appreciate those comments because it's truthful. We are, and I've said this before, we are our own worst enemy. And so at some point, we can only blame exterior forces up to a certain point. We've got to take accountability. If it's Caymanians, they're chief officers and HR managers in government, right? They're the ones who are making these decisions. Who was it that made the decision in the case of Sheena Ebanks? That was a panel. Apologies. And those people were Caymanians. Have it make sense? Because it doesn't make any. As the scholar said, it has to be bad-mindedness. How can you take a Caymanian that is more qualified on paper and experience? She does better in her interview. All the things that we claim. Come prepared, Caymanians. Come to the table prepared. And when Caymanians do that, they are still being disenfranchised. Have it make sense, because it doesn't. And so then, how do we say to our young people up and coming, which I always, yes, get your education, because they can never take that away from you no matter what. Right? But these young people are like, Auntie, why am I getting education again? Why am I staying out of Northwood and Fairbanks and doing all the right things if I cannot be, at least given that little tips of an opportunity in my own country? When we do the right things, and still you're going to be at a disadvantage just because you're a Caymanian. This is a problem. Being a Caymanian isn't an entitlement, but likewise, it certainly should not be something that is going to be disadvantageous to you. And that is exactly what's happening. And the expats know it. Because once they get Cayman status, they themselves say, oh, when I was in a work permit, I had no issues getting a job. All of a sudden, I'm now a status holder. I'm now a Caymanian and I can't find work. Now I know what Caymanian's talking about. Because you fall into a different category. Whereas that caller rightfully said, I think it was a previous caller, they know they can't control you quite as much. They can't not pay your pension and health insurance and all these other things. They can't hold that work permit over your head. They can't abuse your human rights because you're a work permit holder. So all of a sudden now, you become less attractive to them as an employee. This is the reality of the world that we live in, folks. These are some of the pitfalls of the work permit system that we need to address. And it's a crying shame that expat workers come here and they themselves are being abused. And the abuse has to stop. In order to fix this in a holistic way, right? The abuse of work permit holders has to stop. We have to stop allowing employers to abuse people just because they're on a work permit. Because that continues to make them more valuable for just that reason alone. And it's happening in every single industry. Salon, nail technicians. We see the poor little nail technicians not getting paid. There's nobody that they can turn to, right? At best, they'd be trying to call me to try and help them get their money. And these are Caymanians that are doing this to people. Nail bar not paying her workers. Bar rooms importing foreign workers to force them into prostitution. And they take a portion of the cut of their money. You think that they could do that to Caymanian? No. That's why all the barmaids are here from certain countries on work permits. And then our same politicians. Let's not miss the forest for the trees, huh? Our same politicians who are supposed to be making better decisions for us, they're the ones who are going into the bar rooms and fornicating and having relationships with those same prostitutes who are moonlighting as bartenders. Because that's what they are. They're prostitutes moonlighting as bartenders, not bartenders moonlighting as prostitutes, you know. Because their primary source of income is the side hustle of sleeping with men for money. And that's prostitution. Slice it any way you want. That's what it is. So are we willing to start to be honest around here and to have these conversations? Huh? Our leaders of government, our premiers, our ministers are part of the problem. They are perpetrating the very problems that we want them to fix. Look at Minister of Labor, a labor offender himself. How can that be? And these are the people that we say we expect to fix the system. How can you put the fox in the hen house and then tell the fox must shape up the hen house? That doesn't happen. Yeah. We're doing worse than talking out of both sides of our mouths. It's really a hot mess of a situation. And until we start to call them out and hold them accountable, nothing is going to get any better. That's why some of them don't like us over here. Every opportunity they get, they want to, oh my road, this, not see, blah, blah, blah. Y'all can talk all you want. Mikiva, you can talk until the cows come home. Unfortunately for you, you have a track record a mile long that you shouldn't have nothing to say about nobody. And you should not ever threaten to call no lawyer and nobody. Because you know that what people are speaking is the truth on you. Nobody don't have no reason to lie on you, sir. God knows. You've created more than a hot mess of a situation of your life. What we're asking you is don't do it to us as a country, huh? We want better. We should want better. And we should expect more. 6 months out from the general election, and it's so quiet out there, we can barely hear a peep. Where are they? I'm hearing, oh, we're going to be hotly contesting this. Not really? Where y'all at? I'm waiting for the hotly contested part. I'm waiting for, not even hotly contested. I'm just waiting for the contested part. Where y'all at? Y'all are so afraid of being accountable to the people, of stepping forward and giving the people 6 months to ask you questions, put you to the task. What's your position on this? Where do you stand on this? Talk to us. How can that be a problem? If you're genuinely interested in representing the people and trying to do your best job, you're trying to get hired, okay? And we're setting criteria for you. What honestly is the problem? That's because these people aren't ready to be put to task. Johan says, Auntie Sandy hitting hard in the two oldest professions, prostitution and politics this morning. Well, I'll tell you what, they seem to go hand in hand, to be honest. The words in a lot of instances could be interchangeable. I'm just saying. Damien says, we really need to clean this country up. We're voting for our own death. Miss Lynette, good morning. She says, exactly 100%. Darlene says, our own people hired them and continue to hire them. Our deputy governor is a West Bayer. And, you know, listen, I'm not here to knock down on the deputy governor. I'm just giving y'all real life examples of where the system has proven that it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, this is the thing that gets me, right? When it doesn't work, I am shocked at how government refuses to admit that, okay, we've gotten it wrong. To think that they were fighting this came, they were fighting Sheena to the tooth and nails, you know? Made this girl go hire lawyers and all kind of stuff to fight her case. Why? When y'all know you're in the wrong. From the second she FOI'd it and saw that she came in first for the job and she should have gotten the job. Why y'all pretending like you still got an arguable case, as the court would say? The court be trying to give y'all a blind say, please go away and consider if you still have an arguable case. Just like what he did with the Chief Justice the other day, and not Chief Justice, the head of the DPP in my case. Go away and really consider your position, sir. That is the demure way of the court saying you ain't got no case to answer and you're about to get handed your behind on a platter. What he gonna do? Oh, he gonna go at the people's expense and go hire a KC, spending our money to fight a situation that he knows that the judges are already saying you're going to lose. That's how stupid we are. That's how much money we are wasting left, right, and center. Have it make sense? Fix it, Jesus. Please fix it. Because they don't make one bit of sense, folks. Lord have mercy. We got to do better. Cassius says Laval is just one of the many who are contributing to this island being a shithole. Many of these status grants are now NAU clients. Cayman seems to be hell-bent on self-destruction. What can I say? Aliana says, oh, it's hot, all right. Hot like Vaseline. Oh, my God. Neela says prostitution is the biggest paying business in here on island because the women that come here are willing to use their bodies to survive. The question is, why are we bringing in these caliber who evidently have no morals or principle? And listen, I'm not even blaming them as much as I'm blaming the employers. Because, Neelas, the employers know when they bring them here what the score is. And some of them are active participants as pimps. They tell the girls, this is how much you're going to get for a BJ. This is how much you're going to get for anal. This is how much you're going to get for vaginal penetration. And I'm going to take 60, 70% of that. And then you take the rest. Y'all think I'm joking? That is why when they see the premier of the country walks in to the bar, Country and Western, this next one, West Bay Road that he used to hang out at, when they see him walk in, they're like, oh, papi chulo. When they see, ministers and other members of the progressive walk in the door, all of them, when they see them walk through, oh, I can become his girlfriend on the side, his side piece, and the wife turns a blind eye. That's the best gig in town. Because then you don't have to prostitute yourself out to all of them. You just have a mean pimp that, you squeezing and you getting money from him. And then they become, listen, it don't take long for them to show their true colors either, become very demanding and self-entitled. These girls not stupid. They go after political leaders who they know have money. And all they want is a pretty face and a hole that they can stick it in honey jail. They're not busy with nothing else. Next thing you know, she's demanding that you pay for her breast implants. And when you don't, she's going to be circulating politically, be trying to, bribe you, circulating pictures of your little pee-pee. It's like, what? These are real things. I don't make this stuff up. This is happening in government. Elected officials last election had a photo and member of parliament of his penis being circulated. And supposedly there was a video out there. Why? Because he would not buy her boob job and she wanted to get her breast done and wanted this plastic surgery and that. Y'all sit there. Y'all think I'm joking. Anyway, our elected officials have time for all that. They got the energy for that. Wow. No wonder they not got time for us. No wonder they don't have time to fix the issue in this country. What a mess. Damien says not even pretty face, just booty and just body and booty. Once they got a little bit of straight hair too, that's normally a requirement. Strong Will says you have the pictures. I want to see them. Child, when I saw that, I was trying to look for it. I was looking at the picture. I was like, where it is? I can't see nothing. What do you say it is? Let me take out my little magnifying glass and look ya. Child, please. They need Jesus. All right. What a mess. Oh, God. This person said, laughing out loud, you're going hard today in a gentle way, my dear. What a hot mess. I tell you. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I definitely needed the magnifying glass, shell. Yeah, I saw the picture. And you know, it's sad that we even have to have those conversations. Let me be very, very clear, right? I don't care about the size of anybody's penis once they're not my man. Okay, really and truly. We get to this point of having this kind of a conversation because this is what happened. His political opponents were given these photos. I was sent the photo because all of a sudden now, all these jokes are going to be made about his little schoolyard BB, right? Because this is the behavior that he is engaging in. He's put himself in this position. And the worst part about it is the young lady, she got a boyfriend. She got another Caymanian boyfriend that she's hemorrhaging for money. And then this MP from Georgetown is a side piece. And then she was trying to get with another potential, he ran but didn't get in, another potential MP, it's like the lines are just ridiculously blurred. And there are men, there's not no women sitting down having these conversations yet. There are men in this country who have time to sit down and talk about these pictures that are circulated, talk about all this foolishness because of what? This is what they're doing. Instead of running the country, this is what they're doing. Now I tell you, people like McKeeva Bush, try not to put CMR in your name, sir, in your mouth, because your mouth not even worthy. The ish I know about you, you need to try and shut up. Because the day I find one of them barely legal or underage boys to come and show the messages, you wanted to pay them $1,000 for a blowjob, the day one of them wants to step forward on this show, you got shut. That day you're going to shut the fuck up. You're going to really shut up that day. No scruples. You can't, you go overseas, you can't behave yourself. You're touching women on the bunkie. You paid her off. That white I didn't go nowhere. Everybody know. The footage was there. Everybody saw it. You got the luck of the Irish. But trust me, they say time longer than rope. And one of these days they're gonna drop out. You have been a very, very lucky man. You're not touched the right woman yet. Because to this day I said, boy, it's a good thing I wasn't at that tourism event when that happened. And when was that? 2023. Because I am not a person that's going to sit by and watch women be sexually harassed and abused by drunken politicians and say nothing and do nothing. All the people that were there, Heather Bawden was squeezing and pinching on her too. But you see, they don't want to speak up. They don't want to come forward. Donna Bush said she didn't see nothing. Everybody wants to turn a blind eye when it comes to McKeeva Bush. They don't see nothing. They don't know what he's doing. He was very lucky I wasn't there that night, because I'm telling you, I would have kicked him down the back steps of the Ritz-Carlton. He would have really needed that fake cane that he was walking around with. You know, our women continue to be subjected again to these no good politicians who think that they can go out there and treat them in a kind of way, or Caymanian women, by the way, and do anything and it's okay. And people give him a blight. Oh, well, he was sucking on my hand, but I don't mind it. What a mess. We have just lowered our standards beyond anything that should be acceptable anywhere in the world, much less a so-called first-class country. Tories in the house. Bop, bop. Love Lopez says, what a shame. Trust me. Dominic says we need some real politicians. So why are these politicians not legalize their favorite interest, which is prostitution, so our island can collect revenue from them? Because they're not gonna pay no revenue? You think they're gonna pay into government coffers? First of all, needless, the reason why they're not, well, they won't pretend to be Christians half the time, so let's not forget that. Okay. The other thing is, these are married men. Okay. All these men I'm telling you about, not the ones that were running for political office, but the MPs I'm speaking about, they are married men with quite lovely looking wives, really nice wives, whatever, at home. So you think that they're going to publicly say that they're out there, you know, dabbing in somebody else's pool? They're not going to admit to it. They're adulterers to the highest extent. And that's why I chuckle when they want to get up in church and sing on a Sunday and talk about they're Christians and they're saved again. Meanwhile, you walk around drunk and slobber all the time. I mean, there's a certain degree of like just fakeness in this country that really has to stop, especially when it comes to elected officials. Like, seriously. And then, you know, when I call them out, they get all up in their feelings. You know, they'd be all upset with me. I'm like, I wouldn't have anything to say if you weren't doing this stuff. Let me be very, very clear. Right? You guys don't understand. I've had individual conversations with them, you know. I'm a very realistic person. I live in the real world. I understand that a lot of Caribbean men believe that they can have their cake and eat it too. So yes, they're married, but they want to be out here fornicating and having their best lives on the side. All right. And a lot of Caribbean women over the years have been raised to tolerate that situation, to turn a blind eye, and to completely ignore it. Listen, the former premier of this country, Sir Alden, you know, it was well rumored that his wife was going to leave him after the last election, and she was packing her bags and ready to go, and he went and bought her a brand new BMW. And so I say that everybody has a price, and for some of y'all, the price is not very high. I'm just saying. So as women in these situationships, right? If we continue to put up with this foolishness, the men are going to continue to do what they do best. Now, on the one hand, that's a matter for him and his wife, except that when you become the premier of this country, and instead of spending time being concerned about the things that matter to us, right? You're hanging out in the bar room. You're using your government vehicle to be escorted to hang out at South Coast. That government vehicle spent more time at South Coast Bar, parked off, than it did at Parliament. Tell me why. The food at South Coast not that good. I mean, it's all right. It's good, but ain't that good. It's not the food he was looking for. That was the latest side piece, hanging out and working there at the bar. You see? So this is the problem. It becomes a distraction and it interferes with their ability to properly do their jobs. And this is where I have a problem with it. I'm not the morality police. I'm not here, you husband and wife, to tell you that you can't engage, and God knows what y'all be doing, swinging from the chandeliers and all kinds of stuff. Y'all into everything. Good for you. If you're consenting adults, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't really care, right? As long as it doesn't involve children, animals, and a non-consenting person. If it's consenting adults and you want to go there and get your freak on, more power to you. But as an elected official of this country, I need you all to step up to the plate and be responsible. Work for the people of the Cayman Islands. There is no reason that your side pieces should see you more than your constituents. How does that make sense? You can make time for that, but you can't make time for the people that have hired you to do a job and are paying you good money? No, sir. Don't make no sense. You're wasting your time. Go back to private sector. Become a lawyer again. Become a partner in a firm, because then all y'all be having your sex parties out in the boat and all kind of stuff. And we don't care. You ever see me talking about these lawyers and the foolishness that they be going on with? Or these doctors, whatever? I don't care. Because they're in private sector. So they can be partying it up every weekend, having all kind of, what do they call these parties? Freak-offs, like P. Diddy and whatever else they want to call it. That's their business. They're consenting adults and I have business with it. But when you're working for us, you ain't got no time for no freak-offs on our time. You can't wake up and go to Parliament because you can't even wake up because you haven't won too many freaky movements. It's like, what? You are distracted from even thinking about policy. You can't be impartial because your side chick happens to be Cuban. And if you really start to address the immigration issues in this country, part of it would then impact someone like her, and she might not even be able to come here and get a work permit. You think these MPs are going to do that? It's the same reason why the minimum wage is not going nowhere. Because John owns a company where they're paying people minimum wage. He treats his foreign workers like shit, all of them. And he's able to get away with it. And 99% of the people that his company hires are foreign workers to work security at the airport. He's not paying pension. He's not paying insurance. The day that they start to really make the laws have some teeth in terms of enforcement, people like him would be in jail for non-payment of pension. So they are conflicted. They can't work on your behalf to fix issues because they themselves are out there being the biggest offenders. Why do you think to this day, the only person that was pushing for a sexual harassment bill was Wayne Panton? And the second they removed him from cabinet and removed him as premier, that bill has gone nowhere. And they're not going to pass it. That's another one that they're going to kick the can down the mall road for 25 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. And eventually they'll give us some watered down, outdated thing that don't even make any sense at that time. They can't do it because they sit down in cabinet. They sit down in caucus with people next to them like McKeeva Bush, Chris Saunders, and other government ministers who are some of the biggest offenders in the government building right now when it comes to pressuring civil servants. And a lot of these are young Caymanian girls, basically, to have relationships with them. And the pressure is real when your finances are what they are, when you're at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of your government salary and what you make. Some of these girls are compromising themselves in the worst kinds of ways. Chris Saunders had people crying in that government building, putting pressure on them to have sexual relations with him, and he would not stop it until Wayne Panton fired him. Wayne Panton spoke to him. Chris, I'm getting all these complaints. What is going on? Oh, them fucking people, you know you can't believe. And then he go right back and say, yeah, you think complaining to Wayne Panton gonna do you any good? That man got some real balls on him. You see him there, you know? You think Wayne Panton wanted to fire him? He had no choice. And this government now, Julie's back in power. And you know, the only thing she cares about is being back in power. So she brings them right back in the fold. How can a woman, ask yourself this question. I see the time, I gotta get to work here in a minute. But how can a woman who claims to be a woman of the cloth, claims to be a Christian, sit down in her leadership council and have people like McKeeva Bush taking Chris Saunders on trips overseas? Ask yourself how she could do that and still be a Christian. You think these people don't know? You think Julie don't know the real McKeeva Bush? You don't think she know all the complaints she was sitting in her cabinet? You don't think she know what was going on with Chris Saunders? You don't think she knows what's going on with John, another one fornicating all over the place? She is well aware. And what do you think the message then is sent to our sisters, our cousins, our daughters who have to go through this type of thing with somebody like Mr. Bush? And then you have someone like Julie who brings him back in the fold, who embraces him politically and otherwise. What do you think the message is that she is sending to women in this country who decide to their own peril to speak up against this type of wrongdoing, to speak up against sexual harassment in the workplace, to speak up against workplace bullying, right? The young lady who went to court after he assaulted her and dragged her hair and pulled her all over the place. What kind of message, Julie? Have you ever thought about the messaging that you're sending to those victims? When you're arms wide open with McKeeva Bush? I know you can't put your arms completely around them, but you know what I mean. What kind of messaging are you sending to these people? They see you. They see you. Right? So all of your fake narratives about the Bible and this and that and being a Christian woman falls on deaf ears because we don't believe you. Because what you say and what you do not mesh. Right? There's a big difference between the two, and that is problematic. Oh my God. Neela says we have every kind of bad politician, the bankrupt ones, the drug ones, the drunk ones, the sexual harassment ones, and the list goes on and on. Mr. Dean, good morning. Dean says you're so right about the immigration issue and the minimum wage. This is why we will still face with all these problems in this country, because most of the MPs have vested interests in some of the entities that will be affected by whatever immigration changes or minimum wage changes that may come their way. And that's why they're not going to do it. Yeah. Neela says, oh my God, the Chris Saunders, so Christ, everything bad happening in Government House. Simply C says they need to vote Chris out completely. Well, I'm still waiting to hear what the option is going to be. Because if he has another Frederick run against him, God knows that's not gonna happen. So we need viable candidates to step forward and put their names out there. And I get it. It's not gonna be maybe the most popular position to take, but sometimes you have to take the right position. Marshall says she might be a woman of the cloth because she wears a lot of cloth, but that doesn't mean that she's a good woman, let alone a Christian. Simply C says, yeah, vote out Juju too. Neela says sexual harassment is never okay. It's traumatic, and it's not something to be swept under the carpet. This is so sad, Sandy. Without you, we are clueless. And you know, that is sad because I've been talking about what Chris has been doing for months now. And I know I can tell you that none of his victims have ever spoken directly to me. In fact, the first time I brought it up and I said that one of his victims was from West Bay, and I said, I don't know what kind of West Bear she is, child, because them West Bears normally would thump you upside your head. She was actually afraid that people might identify who she was based on what I said. And I thought, wow. I know the challenges, and I see the challenges every time I sit in court for these types of cases, right, of women coming forward and being questioned, their integrity being questioned and their memory being questioned. And, you know, maybe there's something wrong with you. Maybe you're the one who's extra sensitive because, yes, this is normal Caribbean way of dealing with people. This is what we do. We go around, we touch people on the bunkers and squeeze them and this and that. You know, to have your understanding of reality in the world questioned because you decide to stand up and speak out against this kind of behavior. I can only imagine it's cringeworthy to watch, and I can only imagine how those women must feel. But I encourage all of you to nonetheless speak up, because it doesn't change if the victims remain silent, right? Even me speaking on it, you know, we never did get to our Predator show. And you guys might have been watching this case in France of a man, a father, a husband of decades, who for like 10 years basically drugged his wife, sexually assaulted her, and allowed other men to rape his wife on an ongoing basis. It's cases like this, and this woman has come forward, and now she's being lauded as an advocate for all rape victims and all sexual abuse victims, because she said, I will not remain anonymous. I want people to see the face of a victim like me, who was assaulted by strangers, upwards of 70 to 70 something, must be almost 90 men, strangers that she does not even know, thinking that she was having early onset Alzheimer's, dementia, memory loss, hair loss. She was having physical, with physical issues because of the drugs that he was pumping her with to knock her out so other men could rape his own wife. Was taking pictures of his own daughters in the bathroom and all kind of stuff. She said, I will not hide my face. The world needs to see. And you see this little frail looking woman and you think, oh my God, how could anybody do this? How can anybody victimize anyone, but especially someone like her? She trusted this man. She had children with this man. They built a life together. And this is what this sick SOB was doing to his own wife. And it can't be easy. All eyes are on her. The world is watching this situation. But she waived her right to anonymity and said, no, I'm going to come forward. And I want people to see and hear my voice, hear my testimony. And in Cayman, we have such a far way to go still. We're not even protecting our children from some of these predators. We have elected officials who have a long string of stories following them about what they did to people's children. We have a premier of this country right now, right, from Cayman Brac. And Cayman Brac has some of the worst offenders to this day that have never been brought to be held accountable for sexual molestation of multiple generations of children. And yet, our Minister of Education and our Premier of this country has never once, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but she has never spoken out on the issue of child abuse in Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, or Grand Cayman. She doesn't care about those issues. It's running rampant in the Brac. These young girls and boys are preyed upon, plied with drugs and alcohol to be able to, take advantage of them. And this woman doesn't speak out about any of these social ills. But yet, she's the biggest Christian we have, apparently, in all the Cayman Islands. Gabby said, whatever happened to the predatory page? I have no idea, to be honest. I'm assuming they started to get in trouble with it because, they were kind of just willy-nilly posting people and whatever. And you can't do that. That's not what I'm suggesting happens if we ever get a sex offender registry. A lot of people thought it was me behind that page. I would never be so reckless, trust me. Nah. So I'm assuming the heat was on them and they had to take it down because probably the police are investigating it, Gabby. It's just a hot mess, folks. Wow. This person says, well, I always say that Juliana is the biggest political prostitute next to Mac, which came out when she, wait a minute. No. I still don't get to that. So, no, honey, without the money, Saunders has a lot of confidence for Bulge, fat, ugly fool. Why he think any woman besides his wife want him? Well, obviously he's had that kind of luck. No one, well, maybe, because I mean, you don't have to sexually harass people. if you you don't have to sexually harass people if you can get somebody. Hello? Oh, I think somebody was trying to call me. No one want be his stray dog, much less his side piece. Lord. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Kimon calls itself a Christian nation, but that declaration that Kimon likes to bandy about from an establishment level, hypocritical from many different perspectives, is something that it does not show Christianity. It shows a extreme hypocrisy. I'd just like to point out that Jesus spoke and his disciples reiterated. Those of you who do these things to the young, and those of you who destroy the faith of the young, and those of you who predate upon the young and cause them to sin, it will be better for you to have a millstone, in other words, a huge rock tied around your neck, and you'll be unceremoniously thrown into the sea. You, me, and a lot of people in Cayman are fully aware of the level of sordid and outright demonically evil behavior of many of the people who are at and have been for far too long at the helm of this country. Thus far, they have not been held accountable. They have not been held accountable, and they've also been not only brought back into the metaphorical fold by those such as Miss Juliana O'Connor Conley, but also by churches themselves. And they use the belief in Christianity to further their own, as a church, political experiences, along with the political experiences of those of this very degenerate nature. We all know who they are. We all know who their names are. And it's just a sad indictment on the present state that we in the Cayman Islands have and are under the subjugation of. So I both know what you are saying, I understand your concern. The real question is, how do we move beyond this, and how do we improve the situation, and how do we fight for the real solutions to these issues? And I would just say that we need a real paradigm shift in the Cayman Islands, in our government, both colonial and national, in order to begin. Because in a lot of respects, Sandra, the horses have long ago bolted barns.
Yes.
And in order to find a better footing for ourselves as a country and have a set of leadership who we can even think about beginning to hold accountable, and who we can have even the slightest little modicum of faith in, not only the individual, but the system itself. That is what we need to look towards. We cannot expect the victims to be the ones who bring all of the solutions forward.
Yes.
You know, we cannot. We have to have the solidarity as a people to not ask for, but to demand the changes that are necessary for for anyone given the privilege of power and influence in this country, whether it be an elected official or a member of the civil service or any other body that has power and influence over the trajectory of the Cayman Islands. They have to be put to the level of a higher standard than the common man or the common woman on the street. And that is what is missing in the Cayman of today. And I would just ask the Cayman Islands people to please think about that when you cast your vote. Think about the future of your children. Do not anymore look at what your short-term gain may be by giving your loyalty to people who have proven themselves to be unworthy. Think about the future. Think about your own integrity.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I appreciate it. And folks, you know, you too. Really, quite frankly, Jonathan is right. When he talks about a paradigm shift, let me break that down for those of you who are like, I don't know what Jonathan talking about, what he means by that. It simply means this. We have to think differently. We've seen what has happened to this country in the past 40 and 50 years. And quite frankly, it hasn't really worked out all that well for the majority of Caymanians. So if it's not working out, why do we keep doing the exact same thing? Huh? Why do we keep electing the same people who claim that they have the solutions for us, and yet clearly they do not? The paradigm shift means that we have to think differently in order to achieve different results. So some days the burden feels heavy, but we have to be committed to really moving forward. Nathaniel, I saw your comment earlier, which I want to read, where basically he says, I've been studying cybersecurity online, and the past 2 years and 10 online certificates later, all of them told me that I need experience. This young man needs a foot in the door, folks. If you are able to hire people like Mr. Crook or Cook or whatever the heck his name is, Marcus over here, with him jumping from one job to the next, can we please give someone like a Nathaniel, a young Caymanian, a foot in the door? Rory earlier was saying about the whole cruise berthing situation. He said the silt from the construction and cruise ship engines will kill the reef, like on the southwest reef, and the life that produces the very sand that washes up on 7 Mile Beach. No corals and parrotfish, no sand. He goes on to say, not to mention, we haven't seen a published outline business case. Nothing to see here, nothing new either. And Melanie asked the question earlier. Melanie Carmichael says, should the Cayman Islands develop cruise berthing infrastructure? Seems to be too much of a broad question. Are we voting for them to do whatever they want on which island or islands? Rory also says, where is the publication of the business outline case? Have a look at the population levels they expect to have this port supplying. You would be shocked. So some real questions about, Priscilla asking the question, can Georgetown even handle the passengers from all these mega ships? You go there now in a day when, 3-4 ships are in, and you see the problem. But of course, their solution to that is to pedestrianize Georgetown so no cars flow through, so you don't see how ridiculous it is. People who are getting off who are going to spend an average of $25 a head while they're here. Damien says it's just discrimination. Even when you have the experience, my apologies, they'll find another excuse. All right, by requests, I haven't seen this video before, but someone has requested that we play this video specifically for Mr. McKeever Bush. Caller, final caller of the day. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, Miss Sandra.
Morning there.
Yeah, I want to reiterate with that gentleman talking about this young man have this qualification, these twin qualification inside security or whatever it is. Until when you see our government takes a real approach when it comes to hiring in this country, when you came up with that work entity, I really thought that work entity was like a clearinghouse where every like a
certain paying job, like anything over like $2,500 or something like that, that the government will do, because that's a little bit above minimum wage that to make that kind of money. And I thought it was anything that them larger companies was doing, all the hiring was supposed to go through that entity. Fortunately, they kind of tricked us with that, because a lot of people have got that conception that that is what that was for. Fast forward now, we see the real hiccups and stuff with that a joke thing. That was just trying to create position for some of the MPs and the government, or wherever it was, to try to get some of their friends and put for a job. And until when you see we go back and take a step back and change that whole policy with that, we'll never forward in this country in the victimization. When it comes to HR is supposed to be concerning work-related issue, not when it comes to hiring as a caliber, because we're being victimized. And this young man got qualification on paper. When I first went to fire service, I didn't know nothing about fire. All I know to take a match or something and light a fire. No man, there are triangles of fire. It's heat, oxygen, and gas or whatever. Gas could be wood, paper, whatever, or electrical thing. But at the end of the day, you can't continue with this narrative telling the people they need qualification, they need hands-on experience. How do we get it? How do we get this hands-on experience? And this is why we still got an issue with work permits are being thrown out to the man that floating in here in a canoe. How could you tell us that you got us at heart when you get voted in error for? I never vote for none of them that's in there. The person that I vote for never got. From the time they made that shift, when Mr. Eden was trying to stand up, they, as you say, talking about everyone use, but we're Christian entity. Yeah, we got some in this country, but a lot of them are there to wet their pockets. I don't care what they want. That's because if they don't have valid interest in anything that happened in this country, check the airports, the schools, and all of that. You're going to tell me at the end of the day, you will continue on things. Our education system have gone backward. They've given just about every child a computer. You tell them to write. Tell them to write and see where their writing skills are. I seen the other day where they were saying that they got poor reports of the grade. You could tell me, the teachers are telling them, they just give the teachers raise, Sandra. And they're talking about, again, if you learn or not, we're getting paid. You know what you need to do? Every quarter, every couple of months, you show me where you're performing, or your pay will be different. And that's where when they start working and show you the results, that's when your pay will be based on. Look at some of us from the day the fire service have been indurated. The only time the fire service get a decent raise is when civil service, and the whole civil service. We've never got a decent raise, and if anybody gets a raise, is the higher ups, not the common man, not the fireman in them. And you're going to tell me at the end of the day that they got this contract heart, the people that trying to save life are out there in the storm and all that, the police, the immigration, the border patrol, people that trying to keep the drug. When you want to take things to the next level, deal with your borders first. We got no nonsense policy, no importing, no illicit drugs, no offensive weapon, and you still bringing it. You could be the king daughter. Jail them. Jail them. We got set a standard that under no circumstances, all the Russian or wherever he coming from Canada, who the hell travel with weapon and you never got a permit from a country? How do you do this? And yet, you catch my child on the side of the road, rubbing his middle lip palm, smoking a little ganja, and you want to jail him for 5-6 years.
Yeah. And here's the most egregious thing, even about the Russian guy, is the law basically provided him with a loophole to get away with it. And tell me something. Have you heard any of our elected officials say we need to make a priority now and fix this legislation? Not a single one.
No, not that. And then you telling me that they got contract art. Tell me now.
Exactly.
No, it's a salary they worry about, Sandra.
Yeah.
It's a salary they worry about. Until when, and as that young man said earlier on that we need to make a paradigm shift. That should have happened 10 years ago. Now they're coming back with this issue about the cruise buffering facility. Do you see before? Kenneth was a scapegoat back in the day, and they now find no use, and by the grace of God, Kenneth got voted in. I single-handedly call Kenneth. I say, Kenneth, listen to me. Don't touch that port until when the people of this country vote and say, yes, it's about time we want it. I don't care what it is that they put down out there. The cruise ships are who benefiting, not the people, because when it comes to anything pertaining to port itself, these pre-books like the big country like Avalon and Majestic and them, that's who getting it. And the individuals that are falling back on their mortgage and all that are the little taxi drivers and stuff. Until when they get something straight up, okay, Miss Just, you get 5 buses, and for every 5 buses, 9 or 10 taxi drivers will get a load. And that's how they need to shift this thing. Until when they do that, Sandra, we will always be playing Russian roulette in this country. And without no hope in sight. And the inflation will continue killing us because government, with that mass spending of all these projects and roads they put on a road 6 months after they tearing it back up. You already got the foresight. Okay, the country is growing. We putting down these roads. Let's buy up all of this property right now. We buying up all this future for our future investment or our future growth. Prepare for the unexpected. The airport years ago, I remember we used to go up there and get mango from up by Old Joland and all of that. They're this way. Ranking got the car rentals and stuff. And you won't tell me all of that land where Uncle Clems and Andy's and all that come up and buy out that government could not approach these people long before the airport. No, you're talking about you're going to expand and build car parking down in the pond where you got demarked. You had land that was solid rock and you got now going to swamp now to demark. Which part of the country have been built on swamp land, but still. Look at inflated prices that we're paying for these things. I don't know if government always own it or not, but for what it is that it will cost to fill it, it makes no sense. Then now they go turn around now and go build a car park where water swamping it instead of they decide now, okay, we go elevate this big, pull a multi-store car park. You understand? And then if anything happen, we already prep for whatever is to come. But they do not think, they have no foresight, no vision, and all of these feasibility study, environmental impact study that they be using different entities and profiting them. But yet these studies that they do stay on a shelf. That's then now I went back to say, let's go back and look after this and see change. And the majority of the companies that doing these studies and stuff, all they're doing is changing the dates because it's the same thing. They just change up the date in certain water and they're making mad money off of this. Everything that this country do, we need to do a study. We need to do a study. Why don't you go back to the shelf and dust the dust off of some of the previous study that you look into it? Huh?
That we paid good money for too.
Sandra, our children, remember I tell you this, gonna pick up arms to deal with these politicians in this country. You see how they could disadvantage the voters whenever they call them? I mean, they bring the phone off when they're campaigning, you get them with 2 rings. Listen to me, Sandra, after election day, they have the big celebration party, and after that, their phone cut off. Their phone cut off, but yet they will walk around and sit down in these bars. I don't hate none of them, Sandra, because we all are Caymanians, and I prefer it. It are people that do the wrong, so whenever they walk the streets of this country and hold their chest up, they got to remember, they got people, children that they disadvantage, and where the parent never stand and take all the children will do it. We're headed down in a rat hole if we don't get this right this election, because at the end of the day, people sick of the excuses, they're sick of the complaints, and every year is the same problem. It's either the banks, the utility company, the insurance, the whatever is mortgage foreclosures and all that. How in God's name, I keep asking myself, why in the God's name the government go stand up and make a bank take a person's house when they owe maybe about $25,000, $250,000 on it? Why don't government take control of it, pay it off? Because when this person not got no way to serve, that same needs assessment, which is our money that we got paid for this individual that was struggling, going through a hard time. Yet you got foreigners. And Sandra, when it comes to needs assessment, I go show you, my granduncle had issues and stuff. Well, he was like sickly and stuff. And sometimes they literally want you know to take a sick man and drag him down there to humiliate him. He was a man that went to see him help build this damn country. And at the end of the day, you going to tell me now that whenever he goes to get additional funds, you go question it? With you go having all the documents from his doctors and stuff, and you still question it. They don't have nothing. All they got to do one simple click. Go on records and see if he got that certificate the person did. So you know definitely this person's still alive. You understand? And they are continue giving individuals that got back on their feet, and they're still getting government handout. You won't tell me now where that they're not abusing the source. And then we now constantly every month. Where in God's name did I ever expect this country to see $1 billion? $1 billion that our government reach into, huh? And show me what is it that we doing in this country that requires for our debt to be in $1 billion, huh? Oh boy, Sandra.
It's a mess. Thank you so much, sir. I
Yes,
really
ma'am.
appreciate
You
it.
take care. All right, good.
Thank you.
You
Appreciate
take care.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of people said, please give him a couple kabooms. Thank you so much, Mr. Dean. Damien says no vision. Lilith says all these government contracts with the contractors are fixed to their pockets to have leftover change to buy more front and play big at the bar. Mr. Dean, Ms. Jean says thank you. We're required to educate ourselves, says Blissful Powell, to gain employment, but question what says these people into the ruling? What says these people into the ruling of our islands? Just me, sad, crying shame. Very, very sad. Magdalene said, Mr. Dean's not afraid. Give him another kaboom. But I said, please dedicate this to Makiva Bush. I'm sure it's not the only one that this song will apply for, but we'll go ahead and end the show this morning. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the program. And of course, a big shout out to our Instagram listeners who a lot of them hung on of the show as well. Tomorrow's Friday. Looks like we're starting to get a little bit of sunshine. Florida, we're praying for you guys. Hopefully we'll see some improvements, in the weather, but please prepare because this hurricane slated to be a Category 4 with one of the headlines basically saying that weather that Florida has never seen, that area of Florida specifically. It says Hurricane Helen to slam Florida with unsurvivable, they put in quotations, 20 feet storm surge, catastrophic hurricane force winds. So please, the only thing you can do when a storm like this is coming towards you on the coast is get out of its way. Get out of the way. Get in your car, get in a plane, fly, get the hell out of Dodge. All right, folks, let's see this song selection here. Like I said, I haven't heard it before, so I don't know what the song is, but here we go.
If you stay for too long, you spoil it. A good dancer must know when to leave the stage. That is why I'm passionate.
Let's play it one more time for those of you in the back of the classroom who did not hear it.
No matter how good you are, if you stay for too long, you spoil it. A good dancer must know when to leave the stage. That is why I'm passionate.
All right, so amen to that. And I think this is a good time to queue up. Well done, Mr. Politician Man. We always have this one on standby because it is so appropriate. And coming into election season now, folks, let's try to make some better choices.
All the politicians them. Sure. Inna your face, them a smile up. Behind your back of money, them a pile up. Why? Try to start your business and them quick for spoil up. Hey, well done, Mr. Politician Man. You done a wonderful job at tear down with country demolition, man. Sibbly bang, well done, Mr. Politician Man. You done such a great job selling out with country with your business plan. Well, you forget a round of applause for all the work you're doing. Decisions where you make will left the country in a ruins, yo. Strictly personal gain you're pursuing, so the tax rate higher than the planes where you're fluing. We gonna make you deal with the IMF, knowing on a backside, none of sugar cane left. The hotels and the beaches, the Spanish them go screeching. Me no know how you do it, but all me have to say is well done, Mr. Politician Man. I must congratulate you. You done a wonderful job at tear down with country demolition, man. Skibbly bang, well done, Mr. Politician Man. You done such a great job selling out with country with your business plan. What kind of plan? Which is to keep poverty and unemployment on the rise. corruption and not to mention the lies. Election are when the tension arise. So you buy with Kentucky, not to mention the fries. Anything to secure your vote, and then you rob the people to secure your vote. We go to Thailand where the Chinese own. The whole Jamaica is a Chinese loan. I tell you, well done, Mr. Politician Man. You done a wonderful job at tear down with country demolition, man. Sibley Bang, well done, Miss Politician Lady. You done such a great job selling out the country and you still not pay with. But still if inflation was a test you woulda get A+. So when me met the US the exchange rate buck, cause the dollar getting weaker and the solar light bill it woulda cheaper. But a JPS you prefer keep your Ebenezer. So you Scrooge from the ghetto people where you starve and every year you buy a better vehicle. The things you do are beat with bad but still you manage to keep your job. So me I tell you well done, Mr. Politician Man. You done a wonderful job at tear down with country demolition, man. Sibley Bang, well done, Miss Politician Lady. You done such a great job selling out with country. Come in like Humpty Dumpty now. Congratulate them, you know. Yeah, man, give thanks for the effort, you know. Yeah, man, enough things do not go on it, you know. But you them see it still, so we give thanks. Yeah, man. Gangster.